Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Thursday, December 10th, 2020. Had to double check that. Yes, it is the 10th of December. How is everybody doing? I'm Brandon Toy, host of the Ranty with Brandon show. Welcome to the show. We got a good one tonight. We've got Babs, aka Space Pope, coming in to discuss his views on level versus horizontal and other stuff. We're going to talk about basically my questions about what he said on Jose's show when he had a conversation with Bev. If you'll remember, I had asked him, or I had said after that debate, that I didn't really understand his position. So he's going to come and talk to us about that. I have been putting together, I've been reviewing that Critical Think appearance on the show from, I think it was Monday, maybe. And if you haven't seen that, it's pretty interesting. Critical Think brought in that picture of the sunrise over the ocean and declared that he saw curvature. And there's some good stuff in there. So I'm probably going to put out a video, hopefully sometime this weekend or early next week. Maybe multiple videos breaking down some things that he said in there, because he said he made a lot of claims. And we got him good a couple times, I think. But it was pretty interesting stuff when I went back through it. So I'll probably put out a couple short snippets about that with some additional information on my thoughts about the whole thing. Let's see who we've got in chat. We have got Allie B, Birdie Charlie, Flat for Life, Nick, SE Montreal, C Flat, Page 42, Strawman Dan, Liam Bowbrick, Rodney B, YouTube. What's up, Ute? And let's see, Anya Knees. Huh. Interesting. Chandler Bing. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Only one more day to go. Love it when it gets close. Let's see what we've got going on in the Discord. We've got Allie B and Bob Dole are in there. And Space Pope is ready for the one-on-one. I'm going to stop into the show channel, say hi to those guys, and then head over to discuss stuff with Babs one-on-one. Let's just check in right now. What's up, guys? Allie B, Bob, you guys there? Anybody? Bueller? Okay. Unusually empty room tonight. Well, let's get right to it then. Babs, what's up, man? You there? Hello? Babs? Wow, what is happening? So this is not a good start. Okay. Well, maybe I'll go back to this channel. Maybe Babs walked away to go to the restroom or something. Oh, it looks like he's having audio issues. There we go. Or am I having audio issues? Can you hear me, Babs? Hello. Can anybody hear me? Is my microphone on? Hey, can you guys hear me? Bob?
Hello.
Allie?
Yep.
There's somebody. Holy crap. I was thinking that I was all alone over here for a minute. Babs was having microphone issues or something too. There he is. What's up?
No, it was just when you came in, me and Bob says, right, we'll not respond and pretend that his volume's not working.
I think I might have left, closed out right as you joined in.
Seemed to work, right, Brandon?
He's not coming in today. And so I think I jumped out right as you got in there and started trying to talk to me or something.
I'm sure Ali came up with it. I'm sure he was the mastermind behind this.
Is this person
It was Bob. It was Bob.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Well, it was pretty good because I was like, what the hell? These guys are sitting in here. No one's saying anything. And then I went over to the debate room and Babs didn't say anything. I was like, okay. I don't know what I did, but glad you guys can hear me. And so what's going on? We got Allie B in here. We got Travis just popped in. What's up, man?
How Hello, whatto?
We got SC Montreal.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, I was listening to Jose's earlier, SE, and Nappy was saying that she gets that La La Land song stuck in her head all the time. So that means she's thinking about you, man.
Not me. She's thinking about the La La Land, that they live in La La Land.
Ah,
It's like all of us live rent free in their head.
yeah, that is for sure. That's for sure. And then we've got Bob Dole, who already said, "Oh, what's up, Bob? How you doing?"
Check.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, all right.
Cool.
Yeah, I got a bit of I got to fix an issue. Just give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Meet you in the debate room.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. All right, and Cleary said this is perfect timing since Babs just left the room. Babs is a globe head. Cleary starting it off early tonight. Thanks, Cleary. Appreciate that. All right, so before we go over there and do that, I had a couple things that I came across to show you guys that were pretty interesting. Let me see.
Are we going to be moving into a different chat room, or what? How's this going to work?
I'm gonna move over there with Babs, do a one-on-one, and then come back. I don't know how long that'll take. Maybe you guys can listen to it over here in the room.
Here and like watch on YouTube or what?
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah, you guys watch on YouTube. That'd be cool. And then, or even just talk or watch and talk or whatever the hell you guys want to do. And then I'll pop back over.
Yo, is there any way I can listen to it on Discord?
Well, that's what he's talking about. If you guys play the YouTube in the channel, then you'll hear it. All right. Let me bring these up. So there. Oh, hi, Jeremy. Welcome to the show. Let me see here. Hey, how'd you guys like that last night with Flat Earth Fokker? Did you guys listen to the discussion we had with him and his story about what happened? Or
Yeah, it was quite interesting. It just shows that you really need to be tooled up with knowledge to even, because if you go to jail, the only thing you've really got there's recourse, kind of thing.
yeah,
You can only it's like you can only then point out and use the evidence or the court minutes or whatever you call it. But you really need to know what you're talking about. I don't recommend anybody really try that unless they really know what they're doing.
I agree with you 100%. I wouldn't even think about going in there and doing that kind of stuff that he's doing. I have no idea about that stuff whatsoever.
Yeah, well, the ironic part about it is you're not going to get any experience without putting yourself in the situation. It's one thing to listen to people do podcasts. It's one thing to even document how to behave. But unless you intentionally put yourself in there to get yourself that kind of practice, it's just...
I've got a little story there regarding. It'll just take a minute.
Hey, thanks, Brandon. I don't know. For some reason, it's not reading this out. Love the show. All I want for Christmas is the trolls to be kicked from chat. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Said that he owed him some money, and they were acting on behalf of this other company. And I know they sent him a letter saying if you don't pay, we're going to come round. So already they're threatening. They're threatening you like a bank. If a bank says to you, it's quite simple. If a bank says to you, if you don't make your mortgage payments, we're going to come round and we're taking. So what they're actually doing, right off the bat, they're doing something illegal. They're coercing you, right? That's coercion. But anyway, so it's like this company sent him a letter, said we're going to send people round to value your stuff. I says they can't do that, Robert. I says wait a minute. I says I'll phone them up. So that's what I did. I phoned the company up. I says, well, for starters, I said, my friend, he doesn't even know who you are. He doesn't even recognise you because you're saying that you owe him money. So if you say you owe him money, show me your accounts, show me the contract, and there's another thing. And eventually they just wiped the debt. It was only about £1,000, but they wiped the debt off. Plus, where I had a stop. The police just came up and stopped me, and I just basically told them they weren't getting into my pockets or anything. I didn't have to do anything. Quite calmly, and just walked away. But it's the secret is you have to know who you are, and once you understand who you are, once you understand actually who you are, then no policeman, no judge or whatever. But it's more of a biblical kind of thing, actually, more of a spiritual kind of thing. But anyway, that's for another day.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about your kind of a journey with that sometime. But I've looked into it a little. I even bought like this huge book called Straw Man. Started to read it, and holy crap, you get into all this legalese and stuff. And I was like, I wasn't that interested in it. It's not that I couldn't understand. I just wasn't that interested in it. And
it's when to use it. It's like the tools that you get given. It's about picking your battle. Is it worth you? Say that a cop stops you, right? And he's just wanting your license. So well, is it worth the hassle of saying I'm a free man and blah blah and all this kind of stuff, then getting banged up, getting locked up, and then having to go and file your paperwork, because a lot of it's paperwork. Most times, if you don't want to, you should never have to go to court, because the paperwork that you file puts them off them ever having you. They don't really want you in that court place. But if you file your paperwork, your whatever, it's quite complicated. But
yeah, I wanted to mention something. There was a comment on yesterday's video or whatever that said Packer could have avoided this if he had just worn his mask for 3 minutes. That would be the sensible thing to do. And I thought to myself, yeah, that's right. If he didn't want that trouble, he could have just complied and put the mask on. And that would have been his choice. I would have respected it. But that's how they get us, right? It's always easier to comply than it is to push back on them, because they make it painful. That's the whole idea of them having penalties and stuff, so they can enforce their will on us. So there's this idea in the military where you're not supposed to follow illegal orders. And this is a well-known thing that if you are given an illegal order, or you are told to do something that is wrong, the right thing to do is to not do it or push back. So he's made this decision that he thinks that would be the wrong thing for him to do, that he has the right not to do it, and he's pushing back. That is how it's supposed to work. And he did it non-violently. So what's the problem? It's a non-violent protest. It's civil disobedience. He's challenging the system, and now he's going to court to challenge him. He's putting his ass on the line to stand up for what he sees as his rights.
Yeah,
that's the way I view it.
Right, that guy. Oh, sorry. On you go.
Go for it. Good.
Oh, I'm good.
I just interrupted, so you guys go. I had something to say about what you just said, though.
No, go ahead, Tony.
I think it was bullshit. No, joking. I think what you're saying, but sorry. But when it comes down to making a point, pretty much this has been okay. I was going to say about the violence thing. In a way, it could be violence if he was to get someone sick. I guess you could put towards that, like he just affected someone else's life. The rules are the way it's supposed to go is if you are going through life and your actions don't affect the next person in a negative way, then you're not breaking the law, because all laws pretty much is keeping us all even, and except for the man, because the man's always above us, unfortunately. But I always hear about how to make a statement. Don't wear your mask. How are we really supposed to change laws, though, when it comes down to it? Because unless we have a military, or unless we have, we never come up on top. It's fun talking about it, but unless there's a good plan, it's hard for us to get up above it. Man, my words are not coming out right. I'm in the middle of work. Let me get them properly.
No, but I hear you, Tony. It's not the easiest thing in the world, even if you go about it like that. But if you comply, if everybody complies and they go along with it, then when is there ever a challenge? Oh,
yeah. I'm trying to think about the last time, there was an actual challenge. I mean, a revolution, I guess. That's the only time that challenges are actually met with force, and that's the only time anything's ever going to change down here. It's with force or. Because politicians, you can't put your trust in politicians
No.
because they're all grimy too. Even if you vote for a Democrat or a Republican, they're all the same wheel. They're all the same cog in the wheel of shit.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah. All right. Anyway, we can get back to that later, but I did want to show this to you guys. I'm sharing my screen in there. Evidently, there's supposed to be a geomagnetic storm coming tonight. Has anybody heard about this?
Those are the best.
Yeah, it says there's a geomagnetic storm watches are in effect from the 9th through the 11th, 2020, due to anticipated CME effects. This is a blurb from the National.
That's Aurora Borealis, right?
Is that what it is? Yeah, I guess it would be. Yeah, right.
North America, it looks like.
Yeah, North America. I'm in Michigan, so I'm real close. I'm in between the green band and the yellow band here. I don't know if I'll be able to see anything, but I'll check it out later. So I
don't know if you guys remember the one that happened in '86. It happened up here in Quebec. We were out. It knocked out our whole power grid, and it was winter. It was something, man. Did they say how strong it is, Brandon?
Let's see here. I had heard that there's really nothing to worry about, but I don't know anything about these Aurora Borealis. It doesn't say. No, it doesn't really say like it's going to knock anything out, or this is a really short article. Oh, M4.4 category eruption.
Eruption.
Let's see. It's the strongest one in a couple years, so it's not that strong, evidently.
So is that going to be like when you see the sun when it does those big arches? Is that what it kind of is, but green? I guess I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah. I think it's even showing the sunspot there on the left.
All right.
Yeah.
They say it's when that loop breaks off and it makes like a discharge. If I remember correctly,
yeah,
it's been a while.
Bigger than the Earth. That's insane.
I seen your little video there the other day. I totally got it, by the way.
Which one, Ali?
Well, the one about the submarine training.
Oh, yeah.
I put 1 and 1 together. I got 2. I got what you were getting at there. That was...
Thank you, Ali. That's something to think about, bro.
I actually forgot about that because we used to do drills. When I worked in Faz Lane, it's a nuclear submarine base. I was just civilian. But I worked alongside the Navy. I was working in a place that worked alongside the Navy. And they were always having drills. And like you said, they knew exactly, where they were to go, what they were to do. And yet that guy that was asked, what happens if you get a hole in it, a leak? Let me think. I don't know.
Pettit, Mr. Pettit.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. But when you showed it, you never really hinted on what it was about. But I got it straight away. I was like, I forgot about that.
What was the gist of it? Like, chain of command doesn't work all the time, or
No. It's about drills, right? The thing is, the guy was asked on the ISS, right? It was. You explain it, SE. You explain it.
Yeah, sure. I could tell him. Yeah, he was asked. Don Pettit was asked if there's a hole in the ISS, what do we do? And he replied, "Oh well, there's a hole. Those deer light eyes, like the 1,000-mile stare that he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about." So now, what Ali said, somebody on the submarine, even the cook, even the short order cook, even the guy that peels the potatoes, when there's a leak, he knows where he has to be exactly. Where the hose, what he holds, what you get the gist.
Yeah, that's
and this guy had no
it's
clue,
pretty
bro.
easy. There's a hole, you put something in it. Yeah, it's been the same answer forever. There's a hole, put something in it.
Yeah, but the point is,
I got the point. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Don't you find that strange though, Tony? Don't you find that kind of strange then?
Oh, I think the whole ISS is all. I think it's all just robots up there.
All right,
I
okay,
don't think
that's interesting.
there could be people up there. There could be people up there, but why not?
No, I want to hear more about that. That's
But it's still
interesting,
lower.
Tony. So you think that
That's
you
the
think
first
they're
time.
faking
Well,
some
you know,
stuff with it, and they've actually got like other things? See, I think it's a defense project, like some spy thing or a weapon that they've got up there, and this whole growing lettuce and crap is just a cover.
Yeah, I think it's that and defense. You know, because it's what was it like 25,000 asteroids hit one? It's supposed to hit 1 year, and they only knew where 4 of them were coming from. I think it might be some kind of like way to advanced warning systems they might be working on. It's obviously a bunch of stuff because they made Velcro and they make
here real quick.
foam.
They didn't make Velcro. They
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, Swedish guy.
Where are these asteroids?
They just licensed it.
No
I
idea.
think that this ISS could be light the sky like any other star, right? Because has anybody really looked at the sky, like every inch of the sky, to see that there's no these little things that we can't see moving around? So what if they just know there's this thing that doesn't look like the other ones, looks a little different, then they just make a mock-up to kind of represent what it looks like, and then say that we put it up there. Who would know? You could say you put Mars up there and just show something that looks like Mars. Yep, we put that up there.
They like co-opted it. Yeah, I've heard that idea. That's an interesting idea too. It's possible, but
it's interesting. If you're on acid, it's really interesting. Otherwise, if you looked at it and zoomed in on and seen pictures of it, it's definitely man-made or alien-made. So it's definitely something that was created up there. But you'd say everything's created, so yeah.
Yeah, Mars is created, right? Mars didn't come from nowhere. Somebody or something created it.
Well, let me say one more thing about this, and then I'll go start the one-on-one with Babs. If you're ready, Babs, you good now?
Yep. Mic check.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let me just get through this here, and then we'll go over there. For the people who weren't on the panel yet, Babs and I are going to go do a one-on-one. Then we'll be back. Not sure how long that'll take. You guys can listen to it on YouTube in here or talk or whatever the hell you want to do. But we will.
What's the top?
I'll be back at least. Hopefully Babs will come back too.
What are you debating?
We are going to talk about when Babs and Bev had their debate on Jose's about level being horizontal. I didn't understand where Bev's was coming from, so hopefully we'll iron that out. But let me just get through this here. Northern Lights, the greatest light show on Earth. So this is interesting. I just saw this. What their explanation for what these are. I haven't looked into this too much, but maybe somebody else has. One, electrically charged particles are spat out of the sun. Interesting terminology there. Spat out of the sun. 40 hours later, they are picked up by Earth's own magnetic field. And then 3, the particles collide with atoms, there you go, right there, of oxygen and nitrogen between 20 and 200 miles above the Earth. The color of the aurora depends on which atom is struck and the altitude of the medium. Wow, there's a lot to chew on there.
Get the fuck out of here, come on. Bro, wait, so now we can see atoms?
Cool story,
we can see
bro.
when they get hit? That if something was so small you can't see it and it got hit, you wouldn't see what happened, right? That's the entire point of you can't see atoms. But now we can see them and they're green.
Different colors. There's red and green. It depends on which atom is struck. Oh, and purple and blue. There's 4 colors.
How does an electron, right? Every electron is the same. In regard to, they don't have different colors. What color is an electron, right? So how can different electrons are different? If you have an atom with different electrons, they're going to be different colors. That's just so ridiculous.
I think what they're saying is the different gases that are present at the different altitudes is what it's interacting with, and that's creating a different color, kind of like neon lights or whatever, you know.
But they say each gas is made out of electrons.
Yeah.
So
fundamentally they're the same. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. All right, well let's head over there, Babs. You guys can chew on that or watch the show, and we'll be back.
Yeah, I'd like to know what Bev's point again.
There we go. Cool. You good, Babs?
Yeah, testing 1 2.
Cool. So thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you suggesting that we set this up. I was a little confused in your debate with Bev on exactly what you were getting at in regards to level is horizontal, how it is you could be a flat earther and not think that level is horizontal, or if you were making a different point entirely, it maybe got lost in there, or I didn't understand what you were saying. But yeah, so whatever you came here to talk about, that was my question about the debate.
Yeah, I did hear you on your show last week, right after the debate, talk about being confused about what my point was. And yeah, I'm here just to clarify what I was trying to say. And also, I want to clarify a few things that may have been unclear to people that were watching that, as far as my behavior during that debate. I want to talk about that as well.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead and start it off. Whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, so the floor is mine right now?
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
So I guess this isn't really a debate, but it was meant to be a discussion anyway. So yeah, so how it began was I wanted to have a debate, quote unquote discussion with Bev. So I approached Bev and I told him what I wanted to do, which was prove that level is not horizontal. And we had the debate, and a couple of things happened during that debate. I did get upset, like most of you know, but I just want to talk about what was going on, because like you may people might be seeing it differently from their perspective versus my perspective, like what I was going through in the moment, right? So here's what happened, right? I decided to go into the debate with a strategy, like I do with most of my debates. But then a few things happened that threw me off. Like Bev kept doing this thing where like he would ask me questions, or he would correct me like in between, like midpoint, and that was really throwing me off, because like I would be like in the middle of one of my punchlines, and he would say something, and I would like completely forget what I was talking about, and I'd have to stop and just like think and remember. And like that happened a couple of times, and that was like really pissing me off. It wasn't obvious to the people that were watching, but to me, like who came in with a strategy, that was throwing me off, right? So that was one of the things that was pissing me off. Another thing was the people that were attacking me in the comments, as well as me just feeling like I wasn't getting my point across, because like even you said you didn't understand the point that I was trying to make, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't being concise with the argument that I was making. But for this to make sense, rather than me tell you what my point is, I'd like to know what your understanding of what level is. Why don't we start with that, so we can see what my misunderstanding might be based on that?
Okay. Yeah, I would say that level is a line or surface at every point perpendicular to a vertical or a plumb line. Oh, hold on just one second. Okay, kids decided to come into my room and wrestle. Sorry about that.
That's all good. Can you repeat that again?
Yeah,
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I'll just read the definition, because this is a good one. It's actually from Webster's. I'm looking at something, but this is exactly what I think. It's a line or a surface to which at every point a vertical or plumb line is perpendicular, a line or surface which is everywhere parallel to the surface of still water. That's the essentials of it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So parallel to still water, as in being horizontal.
Yeah,
a horizontal line being parallel to, and that horizontal line is also perpendicular to a plumb line, right?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Okay, so you could say that level is perpendicular to plumb, or perpendicular to the downward vector.
Yeah, you could call it the downward vector.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
Right. So picture this, right? I could have a bubble level, and I could take that bubble level and put it on a table, a perfectly flat table and it's going to read level. And I could also take that bubble level and put it on a basketball and it's going to read level. So those are two completely different surfaces. One is curved and one is horizontal.
But
so if level was... Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought you were done. That violates one part of the definition that I read, which is a line or surface. So in that example, the level itself would be the line or surface, and it would have to be level at perpendicular at every point to the still water, which a level on top of a basketball would be. It wouldn't be level to the basketball. It'd be level to the surface of water, parallel to plumb. The basketball is not level. The surface of the basketball is not level.
So why does the level read level on the surface of the basketball if it's not level?
Well, okay, on your theoretical ball earth, right? At that point, the center point, that's all that's reading. That's all that it would be reading. Everywhere away from that center point would be not level. On that, level.
That's true on a globe, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a basketball. On a basketball that doesn't have gravity, just a curved surface. Why is it that I can put a bubble level and get level on a curved surface? Why is that possible?
Well, the level itself, you can make the level. We're talking about the level, right? The actual tool, the level. You could set that on a basketball and balance it so that the level itself is level, but that doesn't make the basketball level.
But isn't the purpose of that tool to measure what level is in the first place?
Yeah, so if you wanted to like straighten out a picture or something, a flat surface or something else where you need it centered, you would put it on top of there and use that level because you know that's a level line to align the object underneath to make it level, right?
So what you're saying is that level can only be a horizontal line, just based on that definition.
Yeah, it can only be a horizontal line. Yes.
Well, that's why I disagree with you. I understand what your point is, that you're saying that it's the device itself that is actually horizontal. It's not the surface beneath it. But my understanding of level is different from that. My understanding is perpendicular to plumb, as in balanced. So that level is balanced on top of that basketball.
No, but do you think, are we talking about the basketball being level, or are we talking about the tool, the level being level?
We're talking about the surface of the basketball being level. Because if we were to draw two axes on that basketball, we would find that where that level is would be perpendicular to the basketball.
But a basketball can't be level. First of all, it's a sphere, and if you have it would only let's say our level. If these were perfectly hardened objects, a perfectly hardened basketball and a perfectly hardened level would only touch on one point of that sphere, right? You can't have a level point. It doesn't make, it is not a thing because all points are level by themselves. So when you put a level on top of basketball and you say the basketball is level, well, I guess the basketball is always level because it's a sphere. It's impossible for it not to be level. But it's also not level, right? That point, the top point on a basketball is just a point.
No, because if I took a toothpick and I stuck it in that basketball, this is all hypothetical because that's not something we could do realistically. But if I took a toothpick and I put it in that basketball, that toothpick would be perpendicular with the surface of the basketball. So it would be level. So you can have level on a curved surface.
No, it wouldn't be level. The level itself wouldn't be level to the basketball because it's not parallel. It's not equal distance, and the surface of the basketball isn't parallel to the surface of still water.
But level is not parallel. Level is perpendicular, which means perpendicular both plumb and horizontal.
Parallel to the surface of water.
Why does it have to be parallel to the surface of water? That's a really specific definition you're working with there, whereas level has such a robust grouping of definitions that each have different contexts. So you're working with one that's very specific. Why is it that you're using that specific definition? Is there what context are you applying it to?
Earth. I'm applying it to
Okay,
Earth,
and
and
on-
the surface
on
of
Earth-
water is the easiest thing that has. I mean, in reality, the surface of water is not perfectly flat. It's not all coplanar, but we're using that as a stand-in for a coplanar, flat, horizontal surface, right?
Right. And I'm not disagreeing with you on that, because the surface of water is level, but so is the surface of a basketball. Because you can get a perpendicular, you can get a point that is perpendicular on a basketball locally. It's true that if we're considering reciprocal, as in like repeating zenith angles, those zenith angles would not be parallel with each other. If they're all pointing towards the center of mass, they would all point towards different directions on a spherical surface. Whereas on a planar surface, all verticals are parallel and all horizontals are parallel. But that's different on a globe. On a globe, verticals point in different directions and horizontals point in different directions.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that. I'm really only interested in what the reality is. That's why my definition is what it is and matches all experience that I or anyone I know has, outside of a couple people who think that they've optically measured zenith angles for perpendiculars that are not parallel, which I'm not convinced is the case.
I'm not convinced by that either. Their measurements are based off of deviations that are not. Basically, there are other explanations that could result in the observations that they're looking at, but they choose to stick to one conclusion. But that's not what we're focused on right now. Right now, we're only focused on what the definition of level is. And like I said, it has multiple different applications, so we need to be specific. In terms of Earth, level means perpendicular to the surface of Earth. So that means that whether we're on a globe or a planar surface, level would still be perpendicular to the surface of the ground. Even on a flat surface like a table, level is still perpendicular to the downward vector. It's still the same. Just the fact that you would concede to that wouldn't make you a glober. That's just conceding to reality.
No,
But at the same
hold on a
time, I
minute.
still understand what your point is, that we're looking at a device that is horizontal and using that to determine what level is. I get what you're saying with that.
Yeah. I don't think we're disagreeing, but I understand where you're coming from and saying this is how it would be on a globe model, but that doesn't fit my definition that I just read, right? That definition, that's
because yours is specific.
We'll call it a hypothesis, and in my opinion, that hypothesis has not been falsified as of yet, that plumb bobs are all parallel to each other. If you can falsify that plumb bobs are parallel, then I would obviously have to come to the conclusion that there is something more going on. Either the downward direction is different in different areas, or perhaps the Earth is shaped differently and the surface of the Earth is shaped differently. But I haven't seen enough evidence to say that. So what I'm saying is this is my definition for level in reality.
Yeah, I understand. And there are two spherical access demonstrations that have been used as examples for zenith angles or plumb lines not being parallel with each other. We can get into that later if we have time. But now that you mentioned that, this goes into more specifics, like with the debate with me and Bev. If you remember, during the debate, he did his usual spiel where he pulls out this whiteboard and he has like two lasers, one that's vertical, another that's horizontal, and it forms like a cross. And he pulls out like a water level, and it's got like some fluid in it. You know what I'm talking about, right? So he went into his spiel, and he started talking about what level is. And my understanding was that there was a test that was supposed to happen, right? Even you were aware of that there was some form of test that was supposed to happen. So I went into that to discuss what my understanding of the test was, which was that he has this water level, and each end of the water level is going to be at different locations, right? And if we are, in fact, on a spherical surface, one end is going to be lower than the other end, right? Like picture
lower. One end is going to be lower than the other end on of the water level. So he's got two water levels. Each end he gets at the, they equal out, right? No, one end's not going to be lower than the other one. Not in the context of a globe. They'd be the same distance above the surface of the Earth, and the line that connected them would be a non-level straight line on a globe.
That's what I mean, because on a globe, horizontals are not parallel to each other. So if I'm standing at one location holding one end of that water level, and you're at a different location, if we drew a horizontal line between each other, it would not be it would not be a horizontal line. It would be more diagonal, right? Because of the drop.
No, it would be a straight line. It wouldn't be level, but it would, let's see, diagonal. I'm trying to understand what you mean by diagonal. Let
me put this in a way that makes a little bit more sense. We're on a globe. You're standing in one location. I'm standing at a different location. We both draw horizontals. Those horizontals are not going to be parallel with each other.
Oh yeah, no,
right?
No. Two horizontals on a globe, if we're on the same hemisphere, are not going to be parallel to each other, right? You'd have to. Well, they could be, but typically they're not.
You're going to meet. You're going to meet like at an apex to form an obtuse sort of triangle. If you can picture that in your mind, right?
Well, let me put it this way. If we can see each other and we're doing this, then no, they're not going to be parallel.
We're hypothetical. We're being hypothetical right now.
Okay, let's say they're not parallel, because I'm thinking of ways that they might possibly be parallel, but go ahead.
Right. The point that I'm trying to illustrate to you is that if we're on a globe, there's going to be drop between the two of us, right? You've heard of the drop. The Globers talk about this constantly. Like the buildings and the boats are dropping in the distance, right? So if I'm at the same elevation as you are, and we're both standing at two different locations, there's going to be a drop between us, right?
Yeah. Can you see my screen? Maybe I'll sketch something out and we can make sure that we're on the same page. Should only take a second. So we've got our globe here. We'll make it red. So here's our globe. Okay. And then we're going to have two positions where we have the water level, right? We'll just say one is up here. And of course I should have used a white background, but okay. So here's one water level, right? That's going to the center of the ball. Let's say that's the plumb line there. And then you've got another one over on the other side over here. So you come over here, let's say this is our water level. It goes from here to here. It's a small globe. When we connected that water level, the water level would be right here. Let's just say at the top of those two white lines is where the water equalizes. What is the right word for that? Equalizing. I know there's a better word than that, but I think you know what I mean. Where the level of the water and the water level stops.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll make this a little bigger in a minute. Okay, so there wouldn't be, now if you're calling this drop, this is how it would be. Each of these are plumb. You'd connect those two by a straight line. In the center would be closest to the earth, and it would rise to each one of these on either side of the center. That's how it would work on a globe. Right?
Yeah, correct. They'd be pointing in different directions.
Yeah, that's what it would look like to you if this was big enough, that this one was kind of, if you were standing in the middle looking this way, it looked like it was going up into the sky. Same with if you look this direction, it probably looked like a, well, I don't know what it'd look like, but that's essentially what it'd be doing. It'd be raising in altitude as it neared each of the water levels ends.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, I had a misunderstanding about this because like I thought that like the levels would be different. Let me just share an image with you. Just give me 1 sec.
Sure.
Here.
Not my best work here. Let me read it while you're bringing that up. Let me just read a couple of super chats that came in. Cleary says, Babs the baller. Rob Keene, thanks, Cleary. Rob Keene says, Babs, is Earth a basketball? All caps. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah,
Keene.
I see Cleary's cupcake eating fat ass is in here too.
Oh shit, that's not very nice.
Yeah, just give me a minute. I'll get that image for you.
Okay. No problem. Here, I'll save my Earth here. Don't want to lose that. Fine work. Let's see what's going on in the chat. What's going on in the chat? Superflurf says, everyone I've spoken to in my family understands a water level and agrees water on Earth is horizontal and at rest. Same here. I agree with you. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody who's not in this argument who would say that water's not horizontal. You know, just a regular person, not somebody steeped in the heliocentrism doctrine.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that water is not horizontal.
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm just reading the comment. Whenever you're ready, just let me know.
Right. So I just I put an image in the. It's an image of a water level similar to what Bev was showing in our debate.
Okay, in the general.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Let me drag it over here. All right.
Okay. So my confusion initially was that this is what I thought. Like if I'm standing, if we're both holding this device, you're standing at the top of a hill and I'm at the bottom of the hill. One end of the tube is going to have more liquid in it than the other end if we're both vertical, right?
Like if you're standing, so, right? I mean, I haven't done too much with water levels, but they have to be at the same altitude, right?
Well, I'm not talking about them being at the same altitude. I'm just trying to illustrate this point to you. Like if you're standing, let me make this a little bit simpler. If you're standing at the top of a staircase and you're holding one end of this water level, and I'm at the bottom and I'm holding the other end, obviously there's going to be more water in one end if we're both vertical, right?
Oh yeah, the water's going to like probably shoot out the top of the one at the bottom, right?
Exactly. But that's not how gravity works on a ball, because on a ball, gravity's pointing towards the center of mass. So regardless of what position you're at, there's not gonna be that sort of water slide, landslide thing happening like on the staircase, because at every single point of this tube, gravity is going to be having the same effect. So regardless of whether I'm standing at one location at a specific elevation, even if we're at the same elevation at two different locations, is there really going to be a difference though?
As long as you're at the same elevation, the water should come to the same. Yeah, that it's gonna equalize at the same altitude, no matter where you are, right?
Exactly. So what would be the point of this test if it would look the same on either a planar surface or a spherical surface? Because it's gonna, both of the markings, both the readings at the end of the tube are gonna be the same. If we're both at equal elevations at either end of that tube, it's gonna look the same, is it not? It's tantamount to me holding a glass of water at one location and you holding another glass of water and us expecting them to be different. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Well, I won't speak for Bev's test, but I get your point. If that's all the test was this water level on one end, this water level on the other end, and you were
I don't
measuring
even know what
a stadia
I don't
stick
even know
or
what
something, or what are those things called? A measuring stick? And that wouldn't tell you anything about the
measuring
shape
rod.
of the Earth. Yeah, that wouldn't tell you anything if it was just that.
Right. Now, here's the thing. I don't even know what the test is. This is what I was trying to figure out during the debate. He pulled out this device, and like in my mind, just like all of you, thought a test was going to happen. And this is the test that I thought he was referring to. I could be wrong. I mean, I've heard multiple different things, so I don't really know what's going on anymore. In my mind, when I was talking to him, that's what I was thinking. So I was trying to illustrate that point to him, that it wasn't going to be different. There wasn't going to be anything, there wasn't going to be any glaring difference on either model based on this test. But he kept doing this thing where he kept interrupting me and pointing out every single semantic mistake that I made, and that was throwing me off. And as a result of that, it looked as though I didn't know what I was talking about. But can you see that my point makes sense? Do you understand where I'm coming from now? And that's just what I was hoping to do today, because it seemed as though I was confused and I didn't know what I was talking about. But now I just want to clarify that. Now I want people to see what my perspective is. And I mean, if there's any further clarification that's required for this, if he's going to come on and explain what the test actually is, that would help.
Yeah, he has come on and presented it a couple times, Babs. I don't know if you've seen it, but it is back there. I've seen it presented a couple times because I had the same question. Because I said, well, if you connect them, and he's got a couple sections, it goes like this, and then there's another one that goes like this. If you connected A and B, and you connected B and C, and you made horizontal lines, there's nothing to say that A to C is one long horizontal line that's going to match A to B and B to C. But he's got other stuff planned. I really don't want to talk for his water test because I won't do it justice, but it is more complex than this for sure. For sure. It's not just this.
Yeah, it's definitely not this, because I've seen something completely different from this. I'm only talking about this because this is what was presented to me. And as we decided, we were only going to talk about what material was presented in the debate.
Oh, okay. I get you. All right. Yeah, that makes sense, man. All right. I see where you're coming from now. Yeah, no, that's cool. I appreciate you explaining it to me. Was there anything else that?
Yeah. I do want to get into the second bit. You pointed out something that was quite interesting, actually, with if you remember in the second part of the debate. Now, this is what happened. When we were talking about the level, I felt like I wasn't making any headway with that. I got caught in this loop where he just kept on pointing out semantical errors, and he kept on acting like he wasn't getting my point. And maybe he genuinely wasn't understanding what I was saying. But I was just getting frustrated because we were just going round and round in circles. So I just decided I'm going to move on to the next point, and I'm just going to go out swinging. And I got mad. I got frustrated. I shouldn't have read the comments, but I just felt as though I could have done better. I didn't feel like I really lost the discussion or I performed badly. I just felt like because I got mad, that kind of took away from my content and where I was going with it. But you said that with the diagram that I presented with the circular horizon, you said you wanted me to talk about that a little bit further so you could understand what point I was trying to make and where I was going with that. And I kind of want to do that right now. And I wanted to ask you to do something for me. I'm not sure if it might be possible right now, but when you guys were talking about this, you had an image of a circle, and you could flip it around, like you could change the angle that we're viewing it from. I'm not sure what program that was you're using. If you can sort of recall what I'm talking about right now. Do you remember that?
What did it look like? I'm not sure.
You drew a circle with like a field of view. Then there's like an observer in the center of the circle. Remember that?
Yeah. I think that was just a little sketch I made out.
It was a sketch. But the key thing that I wanted you to illustrate with that was when you flip that circle and you sort of look at it from an angle, it stops looking circular and it becomes more sort of like ellipsoid or oval. And when you're looking at a circle from an angle, some parts of that circle would appear to be more horizontal than others because you're looking at it at an angle. So when you take that into consideration, if the horizon is in fact a flat circle on the ground, if it is in fact the limit to how far we can see, we're still looking at it at an angle. We're not looking at it face on. So because of that, if it is sort of curved, it might look flat depending on how we're looking at it.
Yeah,
my point?
yeah, I do, and then you got to take perspective into account too. Let me show you something. I've got. If I can open this, come on, open. You know, I really love my computer, but it just makes things hard sometimes. Let me see if I can paste this here. Have you seen this diagram before? It floats around in gems and other places.
You mean what you have up on screen right now?
Yeah, this sphere with a like a ring on top of it.
No, I don't think I've seen this before.
So this is what they tell us. Some say that if you were right here in the center, and you were.
Oh wait, yeah, I have seen this before. I was looking at YouTube. My bad.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. So if you're here and you're looking in the center, you would see a flat horizon because it is flat on the top, and it would all be you'd be parallel with the plane, I guess. You'd be coplanar viewer from this side, right? Of the top of this circle. The only problem is, in reality, we are elevated above the surface of the Earth. And you have to take perspective into account. So, I mean, there's a lot going on here that goes into how we see the horizon. And I'm not a big fan of looking at the horizon and saying it's round or it's flat. I don't think it is good evidence either way, especially when you start
it's not
condensing photos and, then it's fog, it's not fog. But I do believe there is a limit to how far you can see. And that's what we see in a lot of the pictures is that's as far as you can see. Then all the shit in the air, the fog, the water vapor, all that stuff becomes too dense for us to see into, and it blocks our view of what's behind it, or it gets to such a steep angle as it goes away, and it condenses so much that it looks like it stops, but it goes forever. Because by the time you get to that last, by the time you go so far out, when you're looking just below the horizon at a picture, you're talking about so much space that is consolidated into each little, hair's width or hair's height of what you're viewing. Does that make sense? I kind of rambled a little bit, but.
No, I totally get you. The point that the globe proponents are trying to make with that specific image is that left to right curvature is different from forward to back curvature. That's why it's harder to detect. You're not going to see left to right curvature because you're describing two different circles. The curve of the Earth from forward to backwards has a completely different rate than that other circle that would be the limit of your view, if that kind of makes sense. Because we're talking about two different circles with two different rates of precession or drop. So it's not the same. So it's not gonna look the same from left to right. And another thing is the angular resolution limit is totally a real thing. Like we've seen it on chessboards. Like when you look at a chessboard really close to the surface, you can't see the ends of that chessboard, even though you know they're there. It's just that the angle is so tight that you can't resolve it. So we're tiny observers on a large surface. So based on the angular resolution limit, we know that our height is going to determine how far we can see.
Absolutely.
And based on that logic is what I based my hypothesis on, is that if we have a limit to how far we can see, why would it only be forwards and backwards? It would also be on a left to right axis. And if we plot that out, that maps out a circle, right? That's why we see the horizon in all different directions that we look. That doesn't mean that the ground is circular. It just means that the boundaries of how far we can see is circular. It may not necessarily be circular. It's just how things render themselves in 3D space as far as what we can see.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I agree with everything you said. There's a ton of stuff that goes into it, and the angular resolution. I don't know how you could even possibly deny that. Everything that we know about optics and how everything compresses, and there's just so many factors to look at a horizon in any of these pictures. And I don't think it matters if you're even 120,000 feet up. You're still dealing with much the same stuff, because yes, you can see further, but you still have that compression at the horizon. You still have all that stuff in the atmosphere to contend with. So I don't get much out of those, and I'm certainly not convinced by any of them, including the Mage 2 that Sensible and the Ballers are pushing a lot, which I'll be talking to Mr. Sensible about tomorrow.
Right. Well, the major differences are that the rate of drop based on angular resolution limit would be tiny compared to the rate of drop based on Earth curve. So there has to be a different mechanism that's making things drop in the distance. My train of thought is that it's sinking refraction that's making that happen. And of course, we know that the mechanics of how light behaves in the atmosphere would have to be different for how that works. But I have a working hypothesis for what I think is going on. It's still in progress. It's really good because a lot of people have agreed with it. There are some kinks that I need to work out, but I feel like it makes sense because it's working within already existing science. I'd rather do that. I'd rather work from something that's already out there than create something totally brand new, because that's super hard and you're going to run into all kinds of issues doing that. So yeah, I mean, I feel like if I make this work, I can come up with a valid reason for why things disappear from the bottom up.
Yeah, so describe it to me one more time. What is it you think you can, your experiment or your test that you're talking about?
Okay, so we know that the atmosphere is affected by temperature. The density gradient in the atmosphere is temperature based, and close to sea level, temperature is highest, and the higher up you go in the troposphere with altitude, the temperature decreases. So my hypothesis is that the temperature changes the gradient in the atmosphere, which overall governs how the light behaves. And we know that cold air is denser than warm air, and light generally bends towards a denser medium. So if the denser medium generally tends to be above, just because of how it arranges itself based on temperature, I would imagine that the light rays would be bending upwards, which would cause things to sink down. Because that's how refraction works. It's kind of opposite. It's counterintuitive. When the light rays go up, things go down. Or if they go down, things loom up. So in order for sinking refraction to work, you would need a inversion of the density gradient in the atmosphere for that to work. And that doesn't make sense, right? Because how could it get denser with altitude? We know from meteorology and from different samples that have been taken from different places that it gets the atmosphere gets less dense with altitude. But how are we taking these readings? How are they being measured? They're being measured with barometers, and there's all kinds of different ways that barometers work. And I'm just learning a little bit more about that. To sum it up, my hypothesis is that the atmosphere works like a swimming pool. So closer to the surface of the ground, it appears to be more dense or heavier because there's more atmosphere pressing down on you from above. And with increased altitude, there's less stuff pushing down on you. Just like in a swimming pool, at the bottom of the swimming pool, there's more stuff pushing on you. That's why there's more pressure. But when you go closer to the surface, it decreases. So that's what my hypothesis is. I just need to prove that atmospheric density is homogeneous. And if I can prove that, then I might be able to get it to work.
Okay, well, yeah, I'd be interested in seeing your results, or if you put together some kind of test plan or formal statements, taking a look at that. I've been thinking about this a lot lately in respect to the sunset. I don't know if you saw any of it. I talked about it a little bit on the show. The sunsets. Well, first of all, have you seen Pebble in the Ponds experiments, I'll call them, or observations inside the warehouse?
No, I have not.
What he does is he'll put a flashlight on one side and then his camera very close to the ground on the other side. And it's a 300 foot, 100 meter space, completely flat floor. Maybe there's some undulations, but you can see the flashlight. He sets it next to some LED lights. You can see the flashlight. You can see the LED lights that are stacked on top of each other. Then there's a garage door behind where the flashlights are. He opens the garage door, lets some cold air in. It's about 70 Fahrenheit inside the place, and it's maybe like freezing or near it outside. Lets some cold air in, then puts it down, and you can watch that flashlight disappear from view, essentially sink into the ground. And the LED lights, their light becomes much less bright. You almost can't see any light. And he's really kind of observed some interesting effects with that kind of temperature change. You should check those out. I really do need to put those together in a video for him. I've got all his observations collected, I think. I just haven't done it. But you should check that out.
Yeah, that's totally possible.
Yeah, and it kind of surprised me because you're talking about a flashlight. And, I mean, you can't see the flashlight at times at all.
Yeah, that's similar to what Jose did a couple of years ago in the warehouse with his flashlight. A couple of things to keep in mind with that is that the floor level, because even the tiniest undulations can result in obstruction. But still, though, I mean, I'd like to see the video. If you have the video, just send it to me or post it somewhere, and I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah, sure thing. But what I've been thinking about is the density and the humidity changes from where the sun is compared to your location. So if you look at this map on the screen, it's a world map overlaid with average temperature for this time of year. In San Francisco, it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit at sunset. And the sun is down by like over Brisbane, the east coast of Australia. So that sun has to go through all this humidity, right? I mean, it's pretty damn humid over the Pacific Ocean. And then the humidity and temperature decreases as it gets to San Francisco. And I've been thinking about, is that always the way it is for the sun? Wherever the sun is, from its position outwards to wherever you're observing, unless you're directly below it, I suppose, it's always going into a colder and possibly, let me think if it would be less dense or more dense. More dense area, colder is more dense, less humidity is more dense. So colder and more dense area as the sunlight travels away from the sun to the observer. So something to think about. I don't know if this is going anywhere, but I've been thinking about it, and I kind of just put this image together. Here's the sun. It's less dense. It would actually be less dense, I think, to more dense.
Well, the sun isn't really going through different density gradients. It's more so the path that those light rays coming from the sun are taking. So the light rays from the sun are omnidirectional. They're going in all different directions. And as discussed before, the density gradient on Earth is arranged vertically. So we know that in order for refraction to happen, there needs to be a change of media. The light has to pass from one type of media to a different type of media. So when that diagonal light ray is traveling from the sun all the way to your eyes or your camera, it's traveling diagonally through different mediums. So it's getting refracted for sure. That's definitely happening. The question is, what type of refraction is happening? Because we know that there's two kinds, right? There's looming and there's sinking. There's also towering, stretching, stooping, and all those different things. It's just that those are a lot more apparent and obvious because they cause distortion. Whereas with sinking and looming, those are not so apparent, if that makes sense. So the key thing to keep in mind is the density gradient. What density gradient is that light ray passing through before it reaches the observer?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. And you said it was vertical only, but what I'm saying is there is or horizontal only. It gets less dense as you go up in altitude. But there's another factor with the different vertical columns and the temperature and humidity differences as it travels to your location. I think that might be an important factor in how we see the sun, where we see sunlight from large distances, where we see lights from large distances, period, among many other factors. But when you're going from 90 to 50 or even more extreme sometimes, you would think that would have an impact.
Hang on. I didn't mean to cut you off, but no, it's not stacked like that. It's not vertical. It's not columns. It's more so like rows.
No, I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is within those rows, there's also different stratifications of density as you go along here. That's
right,
what I'm thinking.
I totally agree with you. Yep, I agree.
Yeah, this is just showing the vertical aspect of it. And it wouldn't be like it wouldn't be exactly like this, right? Because the world's dynamic and it might change every 10 miles, or there's some wind or there's a storm. Who the hell knows, right?
Oh yeah. Well, the key thing to keep in mind is that closer to the surface of the ground, the refraction is less predictable. It fluctuates quite randomly, but the higher up you go, the more predictable it is. So I don't get why people are still doing observations close to the surface of the ground when they know this, when they know that the results are just gonna waver and not be concise, when they could do observations from higher altitudes and get better results.
Well, I think that some people genuinely want to investigate refraction and its different properties, and we've been able to, over the last 5 years, I say we in real loose terms, the community falsify, in my opinion, a lot of claims that were previously made and unquestioned, such as every time you see the bottom of something disappear as it goes off into the distance, it's because of Earth curvature. We know there's several factors, including refraction, mirages, all those different kind of effects, angular resolution, that can impact our ability to see objects in the distance and even bottoms of objects, not just the whole object themselves. So we do know that things disappear from the bottom first due to some kind of refraction, light effect that we're seeing in the distance. I think it's still interesting to study it, but I don't think you'll be able to prove one way or the other the shape of the Earth with those kind of pictures, especially close to the water. Like you said, I agree with that.
No, you're not.
No, you
it's
won't.
Good for it's good for research and learning, but as far as proving this, no, you're not going to prove this based on that.
I don't think you can prove it optically, period. I don't think you can whip out a camera in any scenario or a telescope and prove this. We've talked about this before. I think you have to have an actual physical measurement of either curvature or lack of curvature. And that's kind of what Bev's water level experiment, and is shortened to water level experiment, but I know there's more to it, is getting at. And I can't remember if he's still using optics or not, but me, Jeremy, and you, we've talked about it many times, trying to figure out how we can create a physical object that is a flat horizontal line to measure against Earth's curvature. And it's just... that is the best way to go, I think. Like, if we could make a perfectly straight object and compare that to the surface of water, to the surface of a perfectly still body of water, that would be the best measurement we could do. But the hard thing is creating a perfectly horizontal object. That's very difficult. You can make horizontals with lasers through vacuum tubes, but that costs a lot of money, and that's probably the closest you can get to a perfectly straight line. I can't think of any other way to do it, honestly. Yeah, Jeremy and I looked into that for a while. I can't remember. It was like 20,000 for like bare minimum. It would cost you like, I'm thinking 50 to 100,000 to build a vacuum chamber that you would need long enough, and then you'd still have to rely on lasers. People could question, no, lasers bend because of gravity. You know, they could say anything. We want to take as many of the variables out as possible. Exactly. A physically drawn line would probably be the best. I tried to contact architects and surveyors locally, but I was having a really hard time, because you need to actually have some form of project that you're working on. You can't just call an architect or a surveyor and ask them questions. Like, I wanted to ask what would be the best device to draw a perfectly straight line or create a perfectly straight object. That's all I wanted to know, and I just couldn't get information on that. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if you had the money to do it, and then they're going to ask, well, why do you want to do this? It seems like a strange project, and then who knows if they would be into it or not. But exactly, I tried the best that I could to not mention what it was for, or flat Earth, or anything like that, because the moment you talk about that, it's out the door, right? And still, though, I still had a hard time, because they want specifics. They want to know what budget you're working with, and most of them just work with either real estate or commercial development. They're not going to do any kind of small project. Yep. Let me read a couple super chats, and then we can maybe go join the rest of the panel if you're out there. I actually might not be able to do that because I can't stay for too long. Okay. All right. That's all right. It's a good discussion, though, man. I appreciate it. And I think the audience thought it was a pretty good discussion too. Rob Keene says, Babs, what is an auto level? I don't know if you want to respond to that, but I'm pretty sure you know what an auto level is. I feel like that's a gotcha. I'm going to answer it anyway. It's a device for measuring level. All right. We'll see if you got the right answer when we'll hear what Rob says. Too bad Babs doesn't investigate Babs' test as well as he investigated the Ball Earth model. 2 tools Babs will be used in the test, maybe more tools later. And that's kind of the point I was making, is that it's more complicated, and you acknowledge that you weren't sure about that. So yeah, it's a lot more complicated than that. And Jimbo says, you are talking about optical activity of the air. I mentioned water vapor, Jimbo. I did say water vapor. I know I did, at least that. But yeah, optical activity. Gotcha, Jimbo. Okay, man. Anything else just to close off the one-on-one? I really appreciate you coming in here and taking the time to kind of explain that to me. Sounds like it was kind of a rough day for you as far as the thing went. And you're welcome in the room anytime, or if you got something to bring to the show or want to do this again sometime, I'd be more than happy to do that. Yeah, definitely. Today was just a bad day because I was kind of like in the middle of doing a bunch of things, and my computer, for some weird reason, I use the Discord app, and it's just been giving me issues like a lot lately. Audio issues mainly. But yeah, I enjoyed this discussion.
And I mean, like, we I hope this helped air out any of the confusion or anything that you didn't understand about the points that I was trying to make. And lastly, Cleary, you keep talking about me like I should care. You're the Michelin Man. You've got skid marks on your underwear. So I'm out of here. I'll talk to you later, Brandon.
All right, thanks, Babs. Talk to you later. Gently Channel 99 cents. Thanks, brother. I did see your question earlier. Why are the density gradients vertical? I was just showing that I think that there is a differences in the density gradient that are vertical considerations as you move away from the hot sun towards the cold viewer in some circumstances. So go back and watch that. That's all I was saying. I know there's a horizontal gradient of density to the atmosphere. Okay, let me head back over to the other room. Man, I've got to hit the restroom so freaking bad. I almost wanted to end it just because of that. What's up, guys? I'm back. Anybody there?
I'm here. What's up, bro?
What's up, SE? All right.
Good stuff.
Yeah. If you were listening to that, I thought that was a pretty good discussion.
Yeah, he's somewhat clarified himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything that stood out to you guys from the discussion, or what he said that kind of caught your ear? I saw a lot of comments, but
The only way we're gonna do this is a straight line. I'm telling you guys, Bev's got the closest shit to it going right now.
yeah, you're all in with Bev's water level test, then Jeremy.
As long as everyone agrees on how he's making a straight line, that's the whole crux of it, is the straight line part.
Yep.
The water is easy.
Yeah, I'm in too. I want to see the test executed for sure. I think it's a good test. And people have questions. That's good when you put out something like that and say, "This is what I'm going to do. This is what I think it'll show." And you get comments and discussion, and maybe it changes or it doesn't, and you go ahead and do it. It makes it even that much more powerful and meaningful, in my opinion.
I'm here as well, Brandon.
I'd like to know how many times people have to see water seeking its level and not bending
I'm on the
or
level.
curving to know that
I'm on the
water
level.
seeks its level and doesn't bend or curve.
I hear you.
I got a question for you, Brandon.
Yeah,
I got a quick question, then I got to go.
Okay, go ahead, Ruben.
Is it your understanding that Bev's experiment is meant to determine the shape of the Earth?
No,
What
I know
are
he
you
just wants to.
talking about?
I know he just wants. Well, let me answer, guys. He
Why
did
is
ask me a
anybody talking
question.
about that?
He said that he wanted to confirm that level is horizontal, correct?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
No one
That kills
disagrees
it. That kills the globe. What?
Okay, so
Did you really just say that?
does.
Have you woke up with this on your mind, Ruhith?
Eh? No,
Have you woke up with this on your mind?
Hi, Babs. How you
Your
doing?
show is on.
Bev.
I'll be right back. You guys keep
Yeah.
it going.
Bev?
You don't need me for
Yeah.
this
Oh,
back and forth.
I can't stay.
No.
Whatever implications
Bev's
you
got
want
under
to
control.
take from that is yours.
No,
Like
I
if you
asked
want to say, okay, if water is level and horizontal, and you go, yep, that's true. That's what happens in reality. You know, we've got water levels. We can prove water is level and horizontal. Whatever comes after that, whatever implications you want to draw from that are yours, not Bev's.
Thank you,
Don't
Paige.
push it onto someone else.
Yeah, can I speak and then go? I asked Bev a direct question. Does your test have anything to do with the shape of the Earth? He said no. All right, that's the end.
Okay.
See you later.
Here you go.
Yeah, because he's testing if water is
Well,
level and horizontal.
Paige.
So whatever
Paige.
implications you take from that is yours.
Can I?
Yeah, and
Like,
he said
am I
you
allowed?
cannot take any. You can't
Yeah,
take any inference about the shape of the Earth from the results. He agreed.
Off you go, Ruhith. I'll
We're trying
explain.
to get you people to think for yourselves.
Paige, can you hear Bev trying to talk? Try responding.
No, I can't hear him at all.
Yeah, he's trying to talk to Ruhith.
Oh shit! Sorry, no,
He's illegal, won't he?
no, nothing.
Yeah, Ruhith's gone.
Yeah,
right.
Bev,
Okay.
just jump back
So,
on, Paige.
we did say earlier today, our time, obviously later your time, when we talked to Ruhith. It'll be coming out tomorrow. You watch this one. This is a great one. Ruhith makes a a big, big mistake. But hey, so I did say, yeah, he said, does your test, the test that level being horizontal with a water level, have anything to do with the shape of the Earth?
Can anyone else hear him?
Yeah, he sounds
Yeah,
just fine.
I can hear
Maybe
Paige.
drop off and
Yeah,
come
I
back
can
in,
hear him.
please.
I can hear
You
him.
might
No
want to
problem.
jump out, Paige. Somebody
Oh,
tell Paige to
okay.
just jump out and come back.
Hop in and
Maybe
hop
I'll
out,
drop.
Paige.
Yeah.
Hop out, hop back in.
Jump out and back.
Okay. Is Paige back? Can you hear me, Paige?
Can you hear him now, Paige?
Hello.
She can't hear any of us now.
No, I can hear all of you.
Can you still not hear me?
Why'd you block Bev, Paige?
No.
What the hell?
His icon's not even lighting up for me. I did. Looked at nothing's muted.
Bev, you try jumping out and back.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Paige, reset. Oh, you heard him?
Am I here?
Yeah, I just fiddled. I just like turned a few things on and off, and now I can hear him.
Right. So when Ruhif asked me, does the test, the water level test, have anything to do with the shape of the Earth? I said no, right? Because the water level doesn't give a shit about what's underneath it. When you establish a horizontal, it doesn't care what's underneath it. So the water level test, being a test for horizontal, doesn't give a shit about what happens underneath it. It establishes an even altitude, right? That's horizontal. That's what the test is.
No,
So-
it's not. Horizontal and level are very different. If you'd read a surveying book, you'd know that.
Oh, hi, Rumpus.
Well, Ruhif just said
Yippee!
Can we do the
Now we
parallel
need
thing,
We
Rumpus?
need the Rumpus.
Yeah,
don't need
we
this
can do
shit.
the parallel thing with Rumpus, right? Rumpus?
Okay, yeah, whatever.
Okay. Did you see my thing that if A is parallel to B, then A is
Yeah, it
parallel
was
to A and
idiotic.
B is
Yeah, it was
parallel? Okay,
idiotic.
right.
Yeah, stupid.
What about the next bit, the one that said if horizontal is parallel to the horizon,
Which it never is, of course.
then horizontal is parallel to horizontal.
Well, you see, you've got it back arse about front. Horizontal, by definition, is the same as horizontal. So you can't. You're using the premises and the conclusion round the wrong way. Horizontal is the same as horizontal. So you don't
Yeah,
need
they're
to prove
parallel.
that. That's
All
by
horizontals
let
are
me finish,
parallel.
Let me finish. Horizontal, by definition, is horizontal. That's A is equal to A. It's one of the fundamental bases of logic. So the
Oh,
fact
so you
you're trying,
like
the
that, then?
fact you're trying to prove it suggests you don't understand logic. Right.
Well, so
that's
so
idiotic.
horizontals are parallel to horizontals, then, right?
Yeah.
That was the point of the logical statement.
Well, obviously horizontal is parallel to, otherwise it wouldn't be horizontal.
Brilliant. So how
it's-
do you
it's
have
saying A is
horizontal?
equal to A?
How do you
You're
have
not
a
saying anything.
Rumpus? How do you have a horizontal that intersects with a horizontal if horizontals are parallel to each other?
Well, a horizontal doesn't intersect with another horizontal.
Fantastic.
I hope you're recording this.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we're live.
I mean, you're an idiot. You think it's got nothing to do with horizon. There's nothing in Euclid about horizons. It's got nothing to do with surveying. Surveying has got nothing to do with horizon. So the fact you're introducing this subject means, again, you know
surveying.
nothing about surveying.
Surveying has an awful lot to do with horizontals being parallel to horizontals. though.
Yes, but nothing to do with horizons.
No. But the fact that all
Good.
horizontals
So you
are
understand.
parallel
So why do you keep
is
on talking about horizons and
brilliant.
horizontals when you've just said yes, as though you understand that they've
Well,
got nothing
I-
to do with one another?
I'm smiling now,
definition of-
Rumpus,
oh,
because
You're an idiot.
you don't know what you've just said.
Oh, I
That's
do. I
the
know
best
absolutely what
soundbite ever.
You have no
Horizontals
idea
are all
what you're
parallel.
talking
Thank
about.
you so
It's
much,
parallel
Rumpus.
You have no
You are the
idea
best flat
what you're
earther that
talking
has
about.
Put the
ever
kettle on.
graced this
You have
server.
no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what page you're bringing
I
around.
absolutely love you, Rumpus. You're
Oh, very good.
fantastic.
That's very, very
Hold
good.
on, hold
Well,
on.
that's, I'm glad
Horizontals
I've got
are
a fan.
parallel to horizontals.
Hold on, Paige.
Brilliant, Rumpus.
what's
You are
happening?
brilliant.
Hold on,
Rumpus.
let Bev work it.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I'm pretty brilliant.
Rumpus, what has happened to your test?
Oh, well, I tried to get 7 people to come together and trying to do that. And also I went through 2 video producers because I needed a video producer to cover it properly during the day. And I couldn't get 7 people at the same time. Particularly my video producer decided to go and get an extra second job the 2 days after they agreed to do it for me, which meant they had to be working 10 hours a day and I couldn't get and train them up properly. But anyway,
you couldn't train them
it's all
up.
going to be resolved. Hold on, it's all going to be resolved. Time has been allocated next spring, and my video producer is now semi-trained up and will be able to do it. And
We're aiming for 2024.
Has Jose chastised you for
Is
that?
that like 6 months next spring?
Are you going to expound on the intersecting horizontal things?
No, they can't intersect, can they? If they're parallel, they can't intersect. That's done.
Correct.
Rumpus said horizontals
correct.
are all parallel to one another.
I'm sure we
Has
can
Rumpus
find
seen Ruhif's little diagram where he's got his horizontals intersecting?
Well, Ruhif, when Ruhif said level is horizontal and then all horizontals are parallel,
Levels are
then
not horizontal.
How did
Levels
Ruhif
are not
run away?
horizontal.
that's what Ruhif said.
They
Yeah,
approximate to one another.
Because we said,
at a point.
what would you think Fight the Flat Earth would say about that when he said it? We went, I don't know. He might be getting out-banged out of the club. Now, you've just said that he said the wrong thing as well.
Hold on, who said? Hold on, who you say? What are you saying that Fight the Flat Earth said?
Pardon?
Sorry, I'm now lost. Who said what? Who you're claiming said what?
Oh, you wait and see. Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. All we need to worry about, Rumpus, at the minute is you have said that all horizontals are parallel.
Well, of course,
that's your big problem at the minute.
They are talking. Which horizontal?
Don't you backpedal.
No, I'm not going to backpedal.
Don't you backpedal.
Listen.
Horizontals are.
For Christ's sake, let me finish. Horizontals are lines. Now, are you talking about the line across the side? Listen, across the field. Listen, twat. Across the field of view. Are you talking along the line of sight? So, for instance, are we talking about listen? Are we talking about horizontal, where you're looking along? Shut up! Well, are you talking about... Shut up, you twat! Are we talking about... Shut up, twat!
If you'd listen, you'd have your answer.
All right, hey guys, let's let Rumpus finish.
Nearly finished.
Let's let him finish. We can't hear his argument if he doesn't finish. Let him finish.
Listen,
Let him finish.
listen, there are 2 sorts of horizontals we could be talking about here. One, across the line. Be quiet.
Let him finish. Let him
Are
finish.
we talking about... Be quiet.
All of them.
Oh, be quiet.
Class did he go for?
Be quiet.
Hey guys, it's not good for the audience. Just let him finish, please. Let him finish the damn sentence. Shut up for a minute, Rumpus. Let him finish, please.
I'm making important point.
I'm nearly there.
You're being a twat. You're being a twat. You're being a twat. I'm trying to make an important point. I'm trying to move the discussion along with the sabotage. You're being a twat. You're being a twat. You're being a twat. You're being a twat. Let me make my point.
No, we're having fun,
Rumpus. Be quiet.
This is
Sunday
Friday for me.
Be quiet.
So this is why rumpusing is a verb, hey?
Twat. Right, so the question is, when we're talking about horizontal, we could be talking about 2 sorts. One, along the line of sight. So when you're looking at something, are we saying that, for instance, an auto level, which comes out your line of sight, is horizontal with level, or are we talking about horizontal going across the line of sight, which is what a horizon does? Which of those horizontals are you interested in?
All of them.
All horizontal.
But do you understand?
Like you said 5 minutes ago.
Be quiet. 2 of those horizontals are 90.
We could have done
2 of those horizontals are
ages
90
ago.
degrees to one another. They're not
If
parallel.
they're not parallel with each
2
other,
of
then
those
they're not
horizontals are at 90 degrees to one another. Therefore, they're not parallel. Jesus Christ, you bunch of twats.
Then they're not horizontal lines.
And a plane.
You field of
You
view
can
that
have
aren't
horizontal
horizontal
lines.
with each other, are not parallel.
Moron, you moron. You can have a horizontal going along the line of sight, and you can have a horizontal going across the line of sight. They're not parallel, you twat.
Oh,
come on.
You're the one that said they were.
They would be parallel with each other.
Christ, how stupid are you?
It makes you a twat.
How do you manage to tie your shoelaces, or if you perhaps you don't deal with shoelaces?
Could we go back to
You're the one that said all horizontal lines, not us.
Right, so I'm trying to pin Bev down onto
I
his
did.
You said it, you
horizontal
All
he's
of them.
worrying
Yeah,
about.
I said all of them. And
My
Rumpus agreed
God.
with me.
Stupid morons.
Yeah.
I'm trying
There
to
we
pin down.
agreed with
So
you.
which horizontal are you worrying about,
All
Bev,
of
you
them.
moron?
All of them.
It
Because
doesn't
I
matter.
said-
Well,
I
they
said
come at 90 degrees to one another,
We
aren't
can't
they?
hear
So they're
anything.
not
All I
parallel,
hear is
you
five people
moron.
talking at the
Horizontals
same
are
time.
parallel to the horizon. Therefore,
No,
all,
but the one
all
along the
horizontals
auto
are
level is
parallel to
not,
each
is
other.
it, Bev?
That was
But all
basically my logical
the
statement that we
horizontal
started
given
off
by
at.
an auto level is not parallel
You
to the
started
horizon
off
because
by
it's at 90
saying
degrees
that, of course,
to it, you
horizontals
twat.
are parallel to
It's at
horizontals.
90
Parallel to
degrees
the
to it,
horizon.
you
He said parallel to each other.
moron.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys
He said
listen to it.
parallels, horizontals are parallel to horizontals. That's what it
Rumpus,
said
you
there.
said parallel to
You
the
do
horizon.
not
He
have
said
any
parallel to each
basic
other.
understanding
Yeah.
of the issue, do you?
Rumpus.
None at all.
Rumpus.
You are a
Guys.
moron. You are a fraud, a
Rumpus, if
moron,
you-
and you.
Fraud?
Rumpus.
Wow.
Hey, Rumpus.
Rumpus.
All right,
That's
you guys
good.
can take
How
that
can-
shit with
how
Rumpus
can
somewhere
the
else
line
if you
going
want.
out
I
in
think
front
that's
of
probably
you be
about enough of
horizontal
that.
when horizontal is across, left to right or right to left? How
He's
you,
talking about
to make the
a
line
plane.
going from your eyes out to the horizon a horizontal, you'd have to put yourself on the side and look at it from the side.
It's a horizontal plane.
Hold
Doesn't
on.
matter.
It's a horizontal plane.
You're confounding the
Yeah, so
horizon
it's
with
still
it. It has nothing to do
parallel
with
to
the
any
horizon
other
right now.
horizontal, even if it's 90 degrees, because they're still a plane to each other. They're still a parallel plane
Exactly. Parallel
to each
plane
other.
model.
Because if I look out,
I've
if
been
I look
muted
out
this entire
through an
time.
auto level, that's a point.
I was
That's
wondering
not
why
a
everybody
line.
was ignoring me.
Is Rumpus still here?
No,
That horizontal
I,
line that
Rumpus
you see
left.
in the
Even if you make a
crosshairs.
hole,
He's
Do you
causing
not
too
think
much
that's a
of a
horizontal
disturbance.
line?
Couldn't hear
Going
anything. Five people
front ways,
talking at the
looking
same
out.
time. Couldn't understand a damn
I can
thing.
explain Bev's word game if you like.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to know
Rufus.
which one of these
Ruhif.
lines are.
Hey, Brandon, mute
Not a
Rumpus.
word
Riff
game,
is
bro.
back. Riff back.
Yeah, Ruhif's here.
Do you
So
want to
let's
explain
let's
Bev's
hear.
word
Go ahead, Ruhif, if you want to address Bev. Let's try to.
Yep. All right. We went through this privately multiple times. So if you have an auto level set up at one
Privately?
location,
Pardon?
well,
We've
whatever, on your
done
server
nothing
or whatever,
privately. It's
not-
always been on the
not
live
live.
stream. Yeah?
Yeah, but it's not broadcast live onto YouTube, right? Whatever.
No,
He's fucking nitpicking again.
It's on the
All right.
live stream
watched
over
it.
there at Emma UK, right? It's not
Yeah,
private.
sure. Fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
So if you're in a location with an auto level, that projects a plane that is called level. If you go to some other location, your direction of down is different. So your auto level projects a different plane that is horizontal.
Yeah,
Those
level
two
is horizontal.
horizontals,
I know you
those
agreed this
two
morning.
horizontals or those two levels are not parallel.
Rumpus just said they were.
Yeah, and he might have been talking about geometrically speaking, just if you have
No,
two
he
lines
said
that are
all
horizontal, then it's fine.
horizontals are parallel. That's what he just said.
Yeah, context matters, Bev. And this is your
In
shit, is that you
context of
fucking changed the
all
context.
Oh my God!
horizontals
So the
are
man who said
parallel.
words meanings don't mean anything. You're now saying context matters.
Words
True,
mean what we
yes.
agree them to mean.
Definitions are meaningless.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chris,
definitions
we
are
agree.
meaningless. That was it. But
We
context
have to
matters.
agree.
Your
We have to
Yeah,
context
the
agree
is a
dictionary.
model.
We
what it
have
means.
already agreed.
No,
We've written a dictionary.
dictionaries are
Ruhif.
not authoritative. Dictionaries are not
Oh
authoritative.
my
They're not
God.
prescriptive.
Jeez.
But
This
your
is simple
model
stuff.
dictates what you're believing. Like,
Wow,
what
guys
Ruhif,
are
that's
not
really
binary.
you're throwing away the dictionary. Like that
Yeah,
is getting
because they're
seriously
prescriptive.
fundy mindset, religious,
Paige, you
religitard,
need-
you know, zealot behaviour there.
You need
Ruth, do you ever
Ruth,
play a
I've got a
sport?
question for you.
Did you ever play a sport when you were a kid? Did you ever play a
I
sport?
played lots of sports. Yeah.
Hang on. Did you change the rules when you were playing mid game? Did you just keep changing the
What
rules
happens?
when you were playing football?
What happens when you don't agree with the rules?
Answer
you
him.
Don't play, right? You've got to agree with the rules.
Did you abide by the rules, or do you
Did
just
you,
swap
yeah,
and
at the
change them?
beginning?
You don't
You
agree with
abide
the
by
rules of geometry, so you just change them.
The dictionaries do not define
You're welcome to
rules.
leave.
They
Yeah.
tell you what
Guys,
people
try to
use
let Bev and
words
Ruhif
to
talk.
You didn't
mean.
abide by the rules, you just get kicked out of the game, Ruhif, from what I play.
Exactly. So you can't play the game.
And you're not
You have-
abiding by
all
the
players-
definitions that we've all decided, speaking English, what they mean. They're in our
All
dictionary.
the players.
What's the
all
point of having a
players
dictionary?
Agree on the
Yeah,
rules
we
because
are
it tells
the
you
other
how
players
people
through
use
here.
the words.
We all agree. You're the only
Yo.
one that doesn't.
Ruhif, I got a question for you, bro.
Can I say one thing?
No, we're not finished here. You guys are
Can I
taking
ask a simple
arguments from
question?
authority.
Ruhif, so if you have horizontal lines,
after I am heard, then you can ask me a
Yeah, try
question.
to let Ruhif
Okay.
and
Go
Bev.
ahead. Let's hear what Ruhif has to say.
all the time. You're a sheeple, man.
Hold on. Hey. Let's hear what Ruhif has to say, and then we'll go from there to percentage.
You guys look at the dictionary as an authority. It is not. We are the authorities that tell the dictionary what the definitions are.
Who's we?
Who's we? As a collective.
And we already did that. That's why the dictionary's already written.
Yeah,
we've already agreed on the
definition, Ruhif. That's why
you're
taking an argument from authority. This is
And then you as an individual want to go against what the collective put in the dictionary.
Yeah, and that's fine.
That is fine. Yeah,
Okay.
That is fine. Who said that?
it's fine. It's fine because that's how slang was formed. You know,
Like
it's when
little,
enough
right?
kind of drops
But
of
he's
water
not
come
making up
together,
a
they
new
create
slang
enough.
word.
They
He's
create a
taking-
wave and they change it. But
He's
that doesn't
taking
matter.
a foundation word and changing it. He's not
It's
making
not
up
a
a new
and as
slang
such,
word.
so there won't be enough
Horizontal.
support for it to create a new word.
We make the
Dictionaries
shit
have
up
no
as we
power.
go along.
Well, language does
Dictionaries
evolve. I
don't
gotta
change.
bet percentage and Ruhif
It's
here. Language
Photoshopped
does
because it has
evolve.
to be.
Anyway.
What window
Yeah.
are we
I
looking
can't
through
even-
today,
I can't even
Ruhif?
hear
The
Brandon
round
talk.
window? The square window? Or
It's
the
fun.
arch
You
window?
want to be
Too
delusional
many
and
The
change
arch window's
definition.
my favourite.
Can you guys hear me?
I can't even hear
How did that
Brandon.
music
Yes.
I
go?
can hear
Yeah,
you.
we hear you.
Yes,
We're all a
Brandon.
bit tricky.
I think it's you, Cleary.
Okay, it's just so many people.
I know.
shouting at-
So let's hear percentage and Ruhif. Go ahead, percentage. Ask him your question, please, and
I was
let's
just
just
gonna
keep
ask
it
him
to
a
these
simple
two for a
question.
minute. Go ahead.
I appreciate it. Okay, so Ruhif,
Yep.
Are horizontal lines, which are perpendicular, 90 degrees to vertical lines, are they straight?
Yes.
Okay, so how can horizontal be level?
In my book, it depends what context you're talking about, but in my book, the words level and horizontal in a certain context are synonyms, exact synonyms.
Yeah, but you believe in a curved level, a
No, I
curved
don't
line.
believe in a curved level. Level is relative to one point on the surface of a sphere. So as soon as you move from that point, that vertical changes, and therefore your horizontal changes.
So you're saying level is always the tangent to the circle.
Well, parallel to the tangent at least, yeah.
The straight tangent line to the circle.
Can that be demonstrated?
Yeah, I've done it in my video. I pointed auto levels, did reciprocal shots, and they don't point back to each other.
Yeah, auto level's the wrong
So
tool
when-
to do that.
No, it's just the exact right tool to do it.
So when someone is using a level, like a water level, spirit level, any whatever type of level over a distance, what do you call that area that they have termed level?
I would call that equal elevation. Like a water level will always give you equal elevation, but if it's long enough and it's further enough away, it will not coincide with level at one end.
Yeah, but it's
Horizontal
equal
at one end.
elevation from sea level. So again,
Yes.
what would you term sea level then?
Oh, fucking geopotential, fucking whatever the
Yeah,
definition.
but sea level, again, like sea level is over an area, right? And they term it all the same sea level. So it has to. You can't
Yeah,
just say,
well-
from random areas is level, but altogether it's not level. It's all just same
Let's
elevation. You
assume
can't
a
really go with that.
perfect sphere, then I would say that sea level is an equal distance from the center of the sphere. It is more complicated than that, but
Which would be
that's
not. So sea level as a whole would be curved, right? Would be a circle.
yeah. But then you're talking about the different context of the word level, as you're saying like a the fucking level, like the vertical level.
Do you not see how it's a violation of the? Sorry,
No,
I was going to say, do you not see how that's a violation of the law of non-contradiction?
Word level.
No, but
It's an
you're saying that
equivocation, Alex.
over an area it is level. Sea level is level. You concede that.
No, No, you're equivocating on the word level.
Oh, so sea level isn't level.
You're equivocating on the word level now. Right? Sea level.
Okay, so what is sea level if it's not level?
Sea level said level is horizontal.
Sea
Level is horizontal. You know that.
In a certain context, yes. In a certain context, yes.
No, only at one spot is it horizontal.
Are we
level.
talking about
Percentage? Are you
So as a whole, sea level is what?
He's trying to guide you back to the globe.
Yeah. He's trying to help you here, I think, Ruhif. Are you not understanding?
So as a whole, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to like show him that there's kind of a contradiction in what he's saying. So to
he
to
understands.
improve his
He's
argument.
already said there's a straight line and a circle. He has level as both. It's a straight line and a circle at the same time, right,
about sea
Ruhif?
level,
There's
when you talk
contradiction
about
in
sea level,
everything
that is
they
a
say.
distance.
Let him finish though.
When you talk about sea level, the level in that, the context is that that's a distance from the center of the earth. It's not a flat plane that's parallel, so that's perpendicular to down. Different context.
That's not how they take
You're roboting,
elevation.
Jeremy.
You're roboting. Yeah.
Sorry.
One of them, Ruhif.
Yeah, I'm pretty
you
sure they don't make any
describe-
implications that.
you
I was just going to say, I'm
describe
pretty
it-
sure they don't make any implications that sea level is the same distance to the center of the Earth. It's just saying
No,
it's the same
geoid
like
based,
height
and it's-
to
How
each
did they
other.
get
It's
that
relative to the other
measurement?
water.
How did they get that measurement to the center of Earth?
No, wait a minute, Bry.
they
Wait a
didn't,
minute.
yeah.
One
This
of
is on a-
them he
this is on a theoretical
describes as
purpose, yeah.
being perpendicular, right? Which is a straight line. Then he says in the next breath he describes it as being a distance from a center point, which is how you describe a
Have you
circle. So
have
how
you
can
never
you
heard of
describe
two-
something as both a straight line and a curve?
Never heard a
Imaginometry.
single word being used in two different contexts. This is your shtick, Bev, and it's just bullshit.
No, level is horizontal. It's not curved as well. It's horizontal.
Sea level.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me ask you a question, Ruhif, please, if you would. I had meant to bring this up, and I want to see if you can point out the contradiction that's inherent in this definition, and maybe this will further things along. Let me just share my screen, and you'll be able to see it in Discord. It is a simple definition with multiple parts. It is the definition of level.
Hold on.
Okay. Do you see it?
No, I'm on my phone, just getting it up.
Okay, let me try to make it bigger.
A
then.
line or surface, a line or surface which at every point vertical or plumb line is perpendicular. Yeah, that first section, I agree with.
Okay.
So
Are you
that's
talking
a
about your
line
hold on,
if
let
you
him
have an
finish,
auto
please.
level.
Go ahead. What about the second one?
If you have the first one, if you have an auto level at a point, then there is a plane, a flat plane that is perpendicular to that plumb bob. That is one context for the word level.
Okay, so there's a key word here, which is every point. But keep going. What about this second part?
Yeah, so the plane, you can think of a plane consisting of infinite points, right?
You could think of it that way, but a plane is
He's just trying to dodge reading it.
a flat horizontal surface. So it's a line or surface at which point a vertical or plumb line is perpendicular to at every point.
A single plumb line. No. A single plumb line has a plane that is perpendicular to it.
Yep.
Every point on that plane.
Yep.
That defines a plane.
Yes, and then keep going.
A line or surface which is everywhere parallel to the surface of still water. That would be curved, and I disagree with that one. This is the true level, and there's a curve or surface in which all points are equally distant. Yeah, that's probably the best context for sea level. So a curve or surface in which all points are equally distant from the center of the earth, or rather would be so. Yeah, that's what I said.
So what is the contradiction? These can't all be the definition of level. You realize that, right?
There are different contexts for the same word.
No.
Yes.
Is this cognitive dissonance dictionary that you've got here?
Yep.
It's like saying flat could have two different contexts.
The level can be curved and straight.
He's saying
here we go, flat.
A
My
specific
Coke
verb
is flat.
should have two different contexts. How could flat have two different
My Coke
contexts?
is flat. Is my Coke flat?
What?
Is my Coke flat?
I think the thing I'm focusing on is the term that says if the Earth were an exact sphere. If the Earth, we all know it's not.
Whatever.
Yeah, they hedged their bet in here, right?
Sphere at all.
Is my Coke flat? Yes or no? There's no bubbles in it. Is my Coke flat?
Yeah, it does say, or rather would be so. If.
So,
Exactly, therefore would be so.
Yeah. Yeah, this is funny.
If
Definition
the
where
Earth.
they say
Yeah.
they say
If your coat was a ball,
water
would it be
conforms
flat?
to the curvature of the liquid parts of the Earth. Well, yeah, that's true. It does conform to the curvature of the liquid parts of the Earth. None. So they
Is
don't
my
lie
coat
to
flat?
you.
If you wrap your coat around
What
a
is
beach
gravity?
ball, is it flat?
Is anyone going to
Wrap your
answer
coat
my
around a
question?
beach ball. Is it flat?
It's really hard to hear you right, Dan, for some
My
reason.
Coke, I'm
Your
telling you,
question
I'm
is
telling you,
invalid
no
because
bubbles.
what you're talking about is a homonym. That's not what level is. It's not, there's not different meanings,
There are
complete
different
different meanings
contexts.
because they're
There are
different
different
words.
contexts for different words. For the
No,
same word.
but yeah, that's the
If you
thing.
wrap
Coke
your
flat
coat
is a
around a
different
beach ball,
a different
it's
word,
flat.
Hold on, right, Dan. You'll
That's
be
flat
next.
with
The
the
same word,
absence,
F-L-A-T.
that's the absence of
That's
carbonic
not
acid.
level. Right? Don't let him take you off
It's a different
through a
word with a
different
different
word.
definition. It just sounds
Come
and
on.
spells the same. It's a homonym.
I can use the word level to mean like a height. Like what level is the water in this pipe? And I'll say 60 centimeters off the ground. That's not a flat plane that's perpendicular to down, is it?
60
That's a
centimeters
le- that's
off
what
the
level we're talking
ground. What?
Yeah, you're right. You
I
could
can
have
use
like,
the word
go
level.
to the next
Yeah.
level in a
So-
video game. That's a different word with a different
Exactly.
definition.
Words
It's
have
homonym.
different contexts. Thank you. Words have different contexts. Thank you.
Yeah, but what
Not
context?
level.
Yeah, we know what context we're
context are we
speaking
in right
about.
Yeah, and Bev is a master of not making that clear.
It's clear to
That's
everyone,
what
Ruhif. We know what context we're talking about.
He's
No,
not
he
changing
switches
the context
context.
of the word. He's using this word in the same context. He's just changing the
In the
definition.
same context, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so
He's still using the
that's
same
Yeah.
context.
Good job. So when he
His
says
stick is
level
equivocation and dictionary fallacies.
hang on, no, I'll tell you. So you're saying level is, and then you're saying it is a curve around the Earth, and it is a flat line.
Sea level,
That's the same context. You're saying what something is, but you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth.
No, I'm saying sea level is a curved surface, and I'm saying
Yep,
something
well said.
perpendicular to the plumb line is also attributed the word level.
Ruhif,
Yeah, but
on your
I have a
on
question
your
for
ball
you.
Earth, this cannot be true. A line or surface at which every point a vertical or plumb line is perpendicular. This cannot be true on your curved Earth.
A line or surface which every point a vertical plumb line is perpendicular. It depends how you read that.
No, it
You
doesn't.
say at every point on the
It says
plane.
every point.
How do you read it, Ruhif?
Every point.
Well, I can read it as that every point constitutes the flat plane that sort of is perpendicular to the plumb line.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can read it the way I think you're trying to read it, is that every is also the same vertical, which I disagree with.
How can it be the same vertical? What are you talking about?
Well, as soon as you move from where your plumb line is,
Yeah.
and you want to put down a new plumb line,
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to interpret that to say that is parallel to the original plumb
Yeah,
line. I'm saying, no, it's
verticals
not.
are parallel. Horizontals
Well,
are
they're not.
also
I've demonstrated they're
parallel.
not.
Yes.
Verticals on the Earth are not parallel.
X, Y, Z coordinate system. You use it too, Ruhif.
I do, and I can draw a sphere in the
And
XYZ coordinate system.
even Rumpus agreed that horizontals are parallel.
In what context?
In the context that all horizontals were parallel.
Again,
Like
all
all
also has a
meaning
context.
everything, every one of them, and horizontal meaning the
Again-
line that is perpendicular to vertical.
Your
Wait a
stick
minute.
is word games, Bev.
Hold on.
Your stick is word games.
All
Oh,
parallels
this is
on
ridiculous, Ruhif.
all parallels are all say it again. All what are parallel?
All horizontals.
All
are
horizontals.
parallel.
You mean all horizontal lines are parallel?
All horizontals. Yeah, that's what Rumpus said. That's what he agreed.
Oh, that's what he said.
are
But that's not
all
true.
Parallel. Why?
Well, because you can have them at different angles. That's not true. If you have a flat,
You can't have a horizontal at a different angle. It
yeah,
wouldn't be
you can have them
horizontal.
pointing in different directions. Those aren't parallel.
Yeah,
What are?
because if you change the horizontal so much that it becomes a vertical, it's not a horizontal.
Yeah, well,
so
if
a
you
horizontal has
if
to
you
be
if
a
you
hun- the
alter it
way-
by half, like a fraction of a degree, It will no longer be horizontal.
No. Here's what I'm saying. Maybe we're
You mean
misunderstanding each
spinning
other.
it?
Just let me show you what I mean
Yes, you
before
got-
we get too far down the road here.
Spinning the horizontal.
Hold on. So these are two horizontals on this white surface. These are. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
These are not parallel.
They're planes, aren't they?
No. These two red lines.
Yes, a horizontal is a plane. It is in a line, in a position, not on the table like that. They are parallel
looking
in
down
the
at it.
horizontal position. Right? A
Yeah,
horizontal
Brandon,
is a
you're-
very definite position. You can't look down on a horizontal like that.
Okay. We're looking at it. We're looking at it on the side. I get what you're saying. So
Yeah.
what you're saying is, if you in 2D space, if you're looking at two horizontals, anywhere they are on this piece of paper, they would be parallel. Well, I agree with that. In 3D world, right? We'd have lines that we would consider horizontals in 3D space, and those are all not all parallel.
Well, this came from the logical statement, right? That if horizontal is parallel to the horizon, then horizontal is parallel to horizontal, right? It's a mathematical thing. It sort of comes from Euclid.
I know, but
Right?
okay.
It is one of the propositions that a straight line that is parallel to another straight line will be parallel to itself.
On this piece of paper, I agree. So if we're in, we're out in the world, and we're looking at the horizontal.
That's a straight line, right? But a horizontal and the horizon are real world things, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to bring this to the real world here.
Yeah.
So let me let's just clarify this so I understand it, because if I'm not completely understanding it, there's probably other people that aren't completely understanding it. So I'm standing here, I'm looking out at the horizon. I've got two lines. I look this direction, there's the horizon for me, let's say, way off in the distance. I've got a line, it's parallel with it. I look in this direction, I look at the horizon, I've got a line that's parallel with that horizon. These two lines are not parallel.
But that's not what you're doing, is it?
It's the same line.
Right now, imagine you're holding a level.
Okay.
Right? Or out in your hands, out in front of you.
Yep.
Right now, if that's a spirit level or whatever, and you're holding it, it's there straight in front of you. Now, you're looking at that horizontal, and is it parallel with the horizon?
Yes.
Right, okay. Now, if you were to move that up and down, would it still be parallel with the horizon?
Yeah, in the same exact direction.
Right,
Yeah.
now,
if it just
if
changes
you turn
vertically,
around 90
yes.
degrees.
Yep.
And do the same.
Okay.
Will the horizontal always be parallel with the horizon?
That one that I'm looking at that's right in front of me, yes. In that context,
Right,
yes.
now, do you think that because you've turned round, that would make the horizontal that you've just made with that level in one position not
I had it on screen if
parallel
anybody was
to the other
looking at
one?
my screen.
Well, okay, so let's say
On the
here, let me
horizontal
let me
plane,
try to
like, 'cause that's
understand
all
this
we're
in
bothered about
context.
yeah.
So I'm looking this direction. Okay, so I'm looking this direction. I hold my level up, and I draw a line in space magically that is parallel to the horizon. Then I turn this way, and this is what you just said. And I do the same thing, and I draw this line that's parallel to the horizon. And then I stand back and I look at these two lines. These two lines are not going to be parallel with each other.
But yeah, see, you're looking at it as though it's a line, right? Now, when you establish a horizontal, right, it is a plane. The horizontal is a plane because it's perpendicular with vertical. Now, vertical can be a line, right? But that line has perpendiculars that act in 360 degrees all the way around it, right? So the horizontal that would be established from the vertical is a plane horizontal all the way around. Do you understand that? Because that's how a horizontal's used. Like when you establish a horizontal, in
It's a
reality, like in
Give me
real
an
life.
example of establishing
in
Give me
real
an
life,
example of establishing a horizontal.
a water level.
No, but
an auto
you
level.
use the water level to establish the horizontal. Okay, I got you. So nothing tangible.
drag
Just you're just
strip.
saying you're establishing that is horizontal between those 2 points. Got it.
Yeah, and then one end of a water level can move anywhere, can't it? It within 360 degrees, it could go anywhere around that whole plane, wherever you want, and that would establish a horizontal anywhere.
Can I be
Like a chess tube.
pedantic real quick?
Well, let me respond to what he just said, and then I'll go to you, Travis. So, okay, so I have the water level. Here's one end. Here's me. I established this horizontal. This is what you just described and how I saw it in my head. So I'm holding this end, right? And then I move this around. Somebody out here moves this end around, and they go, okay, here. I just established another horizontal between those 2 points. Those two horizontals are not parallel.
But what you've done there, you've established 3 points that would be coplanar.
They are coplanar. I agree with that.
Okay, right. So that whole plane that you have just established would be a horizontal plane.
I agree with that.
Okay, well that's what I mean. When you establish a horizontal, it's that whole plane that is established. Now, wherever you
The
move,
horizontal plane of reference.
that will always be parallel with the horizontal plane that is established.
With the horizontal plane, that's the piece that was missing for me because when you say a horizontal, the first thing that pops into my mind is
You're
a
thinking
horizontal line, not a plane.
Yeah.
So that may confuse some people.
You work practically with it, and you automatically realize that that's a plane. You establish it, you can move it, and it's the same plane wherever you put the mark. Right?
Yeah. So if I establish one at 3 feet, if I establish one at 1 foot, a horizontal plane, and I establish another one at 6 feet, those are parallel.
They'll always be
those
parallel.
will always be parallel, and if they're parallel
You
with the
should establish
horizontal,
a grid.
then those are parallel. So we're talking about planes, not lines. Then
Think of it as building a
grid.
deck. Think of it as building deck.
Build a grid.
If you spin a line around,
Yeah, you're in the middle.
okay, I think I get it. I appreciate that. I said I'd go to Travis. Travis, you're up.
Actually, that just cleared up the question I was going to try to get clarity on, so I'm good.
Yeah, I just want to say if you spin a line around, it doesn't make a circle, it makes a plane.
Yeah, and I would say that all the datums, when people keep talking about sea level, right? Now, in the UK, we all of our stuff we run on a grid system. We don't have the longitude latitude lines. We have a square grid system. We also have what's called the ordnance datum. That's sea level established, right? And they call it a vertical datum, right? Because it's established at 0, and then a vertical change is a change in elevation, right? That's literally what it is.
Yeah.
So how do you measure a vertical? Well, you've got to establish a horizontal. The only change you can have is a vertical change, and then that's from horizontal, right?
Makes sense to me, of course. So if you've established this horizontal, which is sea level, like this bottom red line right here, and then you drop a plumb bob.
Called a vertical datum, and you set that at 0. You mean sea level.
You'd take this and you'd say, okay, I drop my plumb line right next to me right here, right? And then I measure up from the vertical datum 6 feet, and I'd say, okay, here's my other horizontal right here. Here's my other plane of reference right here.
Yeah, you'd start at 0, right, with your measuring rod. You put your measuring rod on 0. Your auto level would look at the measuring rod and go, okay, now the horizontal that's set by the auto level reads 1.5 meters, right? And then I'll turn it around, and we'll establish over there it's 1 meter, and then there's you've just rose up half a meter. that's a half a meter elevation, right? It's a vertical change. Elevation is established as a vertical change.
Okay.
In height.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only way that can work is because all of the horizontal planes are parallel, right? You literally couldn't do surveying and measuring without that fact that all horizontals are parallel.
Just imagine how fucking confusing the world would be if it was a ball.
Yeah, if it was curved, you'd be screwed. There'd be all sorts of stupid calculations that you have to do. I mean, they've hidden it in the computers and GPS systems and all of that.
Yeah, they've done enough to backward engineer it and kind of call variables a different thing and make you measure, in a way that makes you think it's a ball, but you're really measuring flat planes, in my opinion.
Yeah. They've definitely done something, right? Because, I mean, you try it. You can ask a surveyor. Don't ask the YouTube conveyors. Go to a proper surveyor, ask them. And just sort of ask them about a water level. They don't know. It's been took out. People don't understand about what water levels do. It's old school, but even the surveyors go, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know. It sounds weird, doesn't it?" You know, like you heard
Didn't Ruhif say you
guy
needed
with
to
the canal.
cite the water level?
Yeah.
Like that just shows you they don't know what they're talking about. You can
Well,
use
you
a
know,
water level
Ruhif doesn't know
around
what
the
he's
corner.
talking about, right? I mean, but there's no point talking to these people. Rumpus, all of these people, they don't even know what they're talking about. Like you heard when I asked that surveyor about the water level in the canal.
Yeah.
He said it was horizontal, right? I mean,
horizontal curve.
It's just
no,
not.
no
There's
curve.
no need for them to think about any sort of a curve.
Kosho, what's going on, man? What do you think about the conversation at hand? Do you agree with that little discussion that we just had about establishing horizontals, etc.?
No, I can't say I do. I did post a picture though, and it will give you an idea of what I think the confusion might be.
Okay.
The confusion. Who's
My
confusion?
picture, I have two red lines, and those
you
red lines
confused?
are
Well, let's take a
are
look at what
local
he's got here.
horizontals. Yeah, they're local horizontals made from the 4th and the 6th post. Those are the red lines.
But
the blue lines
You say
that
they're
are
horizontal.
yeah, the blue lines that are standing straight up vertical.
They're not horizontal.
That would make the water level at each of those different positions. And I've even drew a light blue line.
Hold on, let him finish. Bev, let him get it out of his mouth, please. I want to hear what he has to say. Go ahead.
Right. I've drawn a light blue line that would be created if you were to look at the 2nd post to the 6th post and make a straight line, but I wouldn't call that horizontal by any measure.
No, on this ball Earth, it would not be level. It would not be a horizontal. I wouldn't consider that a horizontal either.
You cannot see how ludicrous that is.
Is that an XY grid in the background?
I want to know where I would see those blue lines.
Those blue lines would be made if you were to make a water level with different posts in it. It would make something like that. Yeah.
Is that an XY
Okay, so if
grid
you had
in the
posts-
background?
Your
So
water
if you had
would be
posts sticking up like
falling
that, I
out.
would see them doing that.
Do you think we don't understand this, Kosho? That this is what you believe?
Kosho.
Hold on.
You got a real world
Kosho, do you think this is not what we don't understand this?
Well, I think Bev doesn't understand it, but you just asked me. It's the only reason I presented it.
No, that's what I'm asking. What gives you the impression that we don't understand that you believe this is how it works?
I've talked to Bev before, and so I know that he doesn't understand it. With you others, I can't make
Well, what about what we were just talking about, or what Bev says leads you to believe that he doesn't understand how this works? Bev, do you know this is how this works on a ball, or do you disagree with how he's got it written out?
I completely understand the inner workings of imaginometry. In fact, I think I understand it much better than Kosho does. Kosho is unwilling to think about this.
I made this while in a
just a
conversation
smear
with
campaign,
Bev
right?
because he didn't understand
Brandon,
it.
just a smear campaign coming that Bev doesn't understand things. I mean, you've heard it from Rumpus.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get him to say. What he doesn't think he thinks you don't understand, because you've showed this. We understand that this is what you believe. I don't know what it is you think that we don't understand.
I understand that you understand this. When I made this weeks ago, it was in a conversation with Bev But I made it because he didn't understand it. I showed it to him. He still didn't get it because afterwards he had drawn the horizontals from each of those posts would be horizontal to the actual picture. Which
Did
is
I
not
ask you about the grid in the background? Is that an XY grid? Because
No.
I would say that was like verticals and horizontals.
You see what I mean?
Those lines on that grid in the background, because them red lines and blue lines and all of that, they're not vertical or horizontal. There might be one of them might be actually vertical. Have you tried hanging a plumb bob up or putting a level close to him? See, just to check.
Do you see what I mean now, Brandon?
Well, I don't know what I don't exactly understand the question, but I'm gonna let Bev keep going. What do you mean by that, Bev?
When I say he doesn't understand it, he's saying that the horizontals are horizontal to the graph.
You're the one. No, Kosho, you're the one that doesn't understand what Bev is doing.
Then why did Brennan just say it? He said that he understands that we that this is the way that we see it, which that's perfectly fine. That is what you guys should think that we say the world is, just the way I said. Bev is again saying that horizontal is not that on the graph. It's horizontal is the lines that are matching the lines in the background, the X grid in the background.
Well, no, I do agree with him on that, but this is an on the ball. Yeah. Okay. I get what you're trying to say. And I think Bev does too. I don't think he doesn't understand. I think he's just asking you, pointing something out about those red lines that neither of them are horizontal or vertical, but I don't know. Bev can explain himself.
Horizontal. Yeah. Those are locally horizontal on that picture. If that was the Earth and the Earth were round, those would be two locally horizontal lines.
Right. Well, can I point out, right, that I call it a fortunate. I mean, some people may say unfortunate. I call it like my mind wipe helped me in the fact that I don't have a model, right? I only can go with what fits reality, right?
Hey.
And to me, that's fucking ridiculous. I can only go with what a horizontal is and what a vertical is. To me, in reality, right? I can't go bending it, and I can't have horizontals intersecting each other because I can't imagine how on earth you would ever measure that. How do you measure where a horizontal intersects with a horizontal, the angular change where horizontals meet each other? How could you possibly ever imagine you could measure that?
Well, George had done it.
George had done it.
The Bedford level test. They've done
What,
another
they
version of that.
measured the angular divergence of a horizontal with a horizontal.
No, they measured the horizontal line going through from one position is not going to be the same one that is going to be at the positions it's pointed at. And there's another famous
How
test
did they? I can't know why Kosho.
You've seen George's
Please explain
test.
that.
You've seen George's test, man.
You muffled your way through that.
And you've seen George's test.
Please explain.
I'll go over the Bedford level test, where they simply looked at the canal that you plan to go to, and they took one
canal that I plan to go to.
Yes, you said you were going to go there for your test. Anyway, he's going to go there, or he went there. Yeah.
No, I've already been to Bedford. No, I'm not going to Bedford.
He went there and he looked down his.
That's where Rumpus is
that's
going,
fine,
isn't
Bev.
it?
That's fine. Don't ask me to explain something, then talk over it.
Well,
okay?
you're doing explaining it all wrong. Don't tell me that's where I'm going. If I'm not actually going there.
Yeah, you said you were going to do your test right beside the Bedford canal.
No, I didn't.
You did say this. Yes, you can say that you're not doing that anymore, but that is what you said. But regardless, the Bedford level test back in the 1800s, he was looking down on the sites. He looked down at when he went done correctly. They looked at a 3-post down the canal, 6 miles down, I think it was, and they were all the same level. So they're the same height above the water towards one another, but the straight line made from the position he was standing to the first and the third one, they were lower than the one in the middle.
Oh, so the one in the middle was up?
It was higher.
Higher as in the up direction?
Higher as in his straight line that he created from his reference point.
Is that the
it was
Bislin
higher
hump?
than that line, than that horizontal.
Is that
that's the Bislin hump?
The Bislin hump. Yeah. You know, what do you know about water and hydrostatic pressure, Kosho?
I know that you guys use that term.
Do you imagine that water can support itself in a central position?
Yeah, why not?
So like, imagine like we had,
Wow.
if we had, say 16 water levels, right? Now, would the hump be in the middle of each of them?
Talking about what
Well,
hump?
this hump, the one that you've just seen, that you said that the Bedford level fella sees.
You can see the picture I've drawn.
Yeah,
I've drawn a picture with 7 different water levels.
Where water
I
supports
understand your
itself
question
in the
now.
center. Yeah. Okay. Right.
I've drawn a picture with 7 water levels, and there's a line from the 2nd to the 6th one, and you can see that there's, or maybe it's the 2nd and the 5th, but there's no, it's 6th. Either way, there's 3 in the middle that are all higher than it. So depending on which 2 you were looking at, the ones between them would be higher. Sure.
Right. So that the ones there, the water, it is well, see, the way I think of that zero pressure state is if you go down in the downwards direction, then you increase pressure, and if you go up with the water from that static what do you call it, a hydrostatic equilibrium point of zero pressure, right? If you take the water in up from that zero pressure state, it goes into a negative pressure state, right? How does it get into, how does water manage to get itself into that negative pressure state?
What are you talking about, Biff?
Hydrostatic.
Yeah, hydrostatic equilibrium refers to, I guess if you want to, and with water, it's the pressure going upward, the pressure created from the weight going downward, and them equalizing.
Yeah,
so
and
there's nothing. All it's going to do is it's going to make a level
equilibrium.
Yeah, it's just going to keep things level. So if you had it going over a long distance, it just
even
keeps
altitude.
the water at the same level.
Yeah, even altitude.
Yeah, so I don't see what the problem with that is.
Well, and the water establishing an equilibrium of even altitude at a zero pressure state.
True.
Yeah, and when they measure like an increase in pressure in the hydrostatics, it's the column of the water, right, isn't it? Measured as a vertical height away from that zero pressure equilibrium point. Line, let's say, or plane, horizontal plane, because that's the way the water does, isn't it? It establishes a horizontal plane of reference. So that zero pressure state of the hydrostatic equilibrium might be a horizontal plane, right?
No, what are you trying to say, Bev?
Brandon, can I say something?
You're talking shit.
Yeah. There's no water doesn't hump. I think that's what we're trying to
Bedford
say.
level test shows exactly what my picture shows.
The water level establishes a horizontal plane of reference. Level is
the
a
Bedford
straight
level
line
test,
on a horizontal plane.
The challenge the guy did that he won the bet was because he did exactly what I showed. That there's in the middle targets were higher than the 2 end targets. Even though
The problem with that also was he didn't cite the targets correctly. He cited to the middle, which added to a hump in the middle with the curvature of the lens and the atmospherics. But if you cite to the end, it's a straight line. What's his name went over it in some of the old 1800s publications, Earth Not a Globe or whatever, the old 1800s pamphlets talking about it. Went over.
What are you talking about? Somebody else? What somebody else said?
The Bedford level bet with that other guy Wallace. He used some camera tricks basically to make it look like
they did all sorts of bullshit for all sorts of stupid reasons, flat Earth society type shit, right? All of it, the whole thing, a load of bullshit.
And the thing is, Kosho, the
water
idea
doesn't
of
hump.
equilibrium. Well, the idea of equilibrium
doesn't
period
drop, doesn't rise, and it doesn't hump.
Obviously,
it's stays
They tell us
horizontal.
the Earth drops away, so why would we have a fucking hump?
Well, if you
Well,
want
the
to see a
thing is-
hump, go look at a camel.
Well, the thing is,
Is that a
philosophical
physical drop or a visual one?
Physical.
the idea of equilibrium
And
period
so you measured
philosophically,
it physically
Kosho.
or visually?
It's not philosophically.
It's easy to measure physically.
It's actually in reality. That's what we were talking about, not philosophically or anything. We were talking
Kosho,
about in reality.
Yes, Kosho. The problem is to have equilibrium, it has to equalize with something else. Equalizing with what
Zero.
over a gravity ball?
Zero
There
pressure.
is no theoretical
With
point
itself.
to equalize with
Establishes a
because
level.
points do
Bev,
not
why do you have to
exist.
talk through everyone? Let him finish, man.
I'm just going to finish really quickly. There's nothing to equalize with over a ball. You can only equalize with another flat level plane.
That's fine, Lemon, but you know that it's in reference to the center of gravity. That's where it's that's what's going to set the level. But
that's hypothetical. There's no analog in reality to say this is what we're equalizing with. That's highly philosophical without any analog in reality, as far as we can tell.
level.
yeah, sea level is one example. The Bedford level, as I just went over, is another example. And anybody,
Geoid.
yeah, and planes do this.
Wow, we got somebody calling out the words. What do we
It's
need?
my main man. What's going on,
Circle,
dude?
circle.
Hey.
Oblate.
The last thing I was just going to say is another example is planes in the sky, because I know pilots who talk about seeing on the radar that there's a plane that is well over his head, 100 feet above him, and in the distance he sees that it's below his level, and that's because it's far enough ahead of him that it's below his. It's below him in like I said, in the sense of being level, his horizontal. But it's technically above him as far as elevation goes.
Couldn't be just an optical phenomenon, no?
Yeah, the thing is, due to perspective, anything that's below you will eventually approach to the level of the eyes anyway. Are you saying that's going below you because it's over a curve? Well, with refraction and optics over a flat plane and these questionable airline instruments, who knows what's really occurring anyway?
Do distant lampposts look below you?
Yeah, if something's above you in reality, there's nothing about perspective that will allow it to be below the horizontal line created by your.
Okay, Kosho, I just have a question. Kosho, is there any citation that you can give of this record? Because I'm trying to think about what you're saying, right? So if I'm a pilot at 35,000 feet looking out my windscreen and my instruments are telling me that there's another airliner that's 100 feet higher than I am, how far away would that airliner be out my windscreen in order for me to make those kinds of, pardon the French, fucking specific sights?
Yeah, that's going to not be his radar telling him that. It's going to be something on his. He's going to be getting data from that plane that's telling him that, and the air traffic control people.
Transponder.
Okay, hold on. You just said earlier, unless I'm incorrect, you said earlier, a pilot is going to see on his instrument that a plane is 100 feet above him, but then he sees that it's lower than him out in the distance. Now, how can he see that with his eyes? Because
it's an object in his frame of view.
Okay, so again, now it seems to me that you're conceding that he has made this observation with his own eyes, which 1 minute ago said he wasn't making. So
No,
which is it?
Let me help you out, because you seem to be having trouble. There's his two pieces of data. One coming from I think Gambino said is transponder, whatever, the air traffic control people. That's one piece of the information he's using. The other piece of information he's using is his visual description of what this looks like to him. So he's comparing these two things, and one says it's above him, and the one in his eyes says it's below him.
His eyes says below him. Okay, listen, I'm sorry. Again, it seems to me that you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Is he making this observation with his eyes, or is he looking at data in his
There's
interest.
there's no better way to explain it to you, man. You're just not gonna get it, so it's fine.
No. Don't project on me your inability to be clear. Okay?
The answer is both.
I've just told you it was both, and then you asked me which one it was.
Okay. Again, if he's making the observation with his naked eye, how far away is he looking to see this object below him in the distance?
Depends on how far it was. The closer it got, the higher it got in his front of view, and eventually it was over his plane. But while it was further out, when he first saw it in his sights, it was below his horizontal.
Okay. I don't agree with what you're saying, but I understand what you're saying.
That's fine.
I don't
Is that
agree
Wolfie
either.
that did that, Rojo?
Say again, Mr.
Well-
Gabino?
Is that Wolfie that did that?
No, it's a guy called Rich. He's on Gem server sometimes.
Oh, okay. I see that.
Well-
That's pretty crazy.
I guess my problem with this questionable stuff is how are we determining level in open space? Open space doesn't appear to have any physical stuff to tell you what is level and what isn't. So it appears
Artificial
to be based.
horizon.
Planes do, though.
So I
Yeah,
guess the
you have the whole
token that
IMU of the plane.
So I guess we're going to have to use another token to say what level is. And at that point, we need to ask ourselves how accurately is this token reflecting level? Is it off in some way? Namely, the gyro that
Planes
would
can
have
fly
to
when
hang
it's cloudy.
a level. Can the gyro process due to error, due to being in different pressure as it gets in higher altitude, and or give you an off-level reading? Are you tipping
No.
the plane up 3 degrees? What else is going on with these readings?
How do you think they fly instruments? It's called IFR,
IFR, I do not know what that is.
instrument flight rating. You can land when it's completely foggy and cloudy. How do they do that?
They probably use these equipment.
Are you, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They use
And
this
I'm saying,
equipment.
and I'm saying
They
that
use
these
accurate IMUs.
but up to what point? Accurate up to what point? Over long distances when you're trying to sight the horizon, or in short distances when you're trying to land?
The entirety of a flight.
I get suspicious of these tokens, especially if they're off and not giving a true representation when they're standing in for this quote unquote horizon that is in physical, space, which isn't physical.
Well, go get your pilot's license and then you'll have a leg to stand on. Until then, you're just talking out your ass.
I'll have to do some armchair.
Do you have your
research.
pilot's license?
Yeah, you a pilot?
Yeah, do you have
No,
a pilot's
I'm not.
license? Okay, so you're
No.
talking out your
Okay.
ass. Okay.
No,
Okay.
but I understand
Yeah.
how this is done.
Who
Do
is
you
that
pretend
speaking
to be
here?
a surveyor then?
There's no fucking radars or nothing when we won the Battle of Britain with the Spitfires.
You're a little low. Is that Gadget? Yeah, Gadget. You sound like you're 20 feet away from your mic.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Who was just speaking about the airplane that said they weren't a pilot?
Main surveyor?
Yeah, the airplane, Battle of Britain.
I'm not a
Yeah.
pilot.
Britain.
Oh, the big Gambino. Okay, welcome to the server, you big
Gumbo.
Gambino.
Hi.
Well, maybe he
Cliff and
does.
Effa.
I'm just
But
trying to
you know,
get logic.
there's many accounts, isn't there?
I'm just a conspiratard, Flatty.
Many names.
I mean, maybe he does have a point, but I'm a little suspicious because if we don't have an actual level in non-physical space, we have to use another token. And at that point, the question is the token something to stand in for it?
You're
We need to make sure that the other thing that we're using to stand in.
I think we'd have to see this observation in order to really speak on it. I mean, how far away was the plane that he thought he
Yeah.
saw below him?
Yeah.
How
That's-
much
yeah, I
below him, his eye level
Right.
was it? How did he determine it was below his eye level? There's so many variables that could go into this.
Yeah. Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate that. Yep.
Personal incredulity is not.
It's not personal
No,
incredulity.
it's
You
not
haven't
personal
provided any
incredulity.
evidence. You haven't
Yeah,
provided
it is.
anything. You
No,
haven't even
it's-
shown us
no.
an observation. Of course I'm incredulous. I don't believe people off the
What
street
about
when
the
they tell me
horizon
shit.
being below the artificial horizon?
Show me the
crosshairs on
fucking
every
observation. That's pretty simple. Don't just come in here. I saw 2 pink ponies in my backyard yesterday.
Okay, that's easy. Wolfie has a video about it.
I have a video of 2
met
pink
the big
ponies.
Gambino, Brandon?
Oh, well, that's you. Wolfie video. It's just a
Oh man, was that Chad?
Do you have any evidence to bring to the table, Big Gambino? I mean, anything real to show us, or
He's
just
got
rhetoric?
about 500
Yeah,
accounts,
sure.
Brandon.
Sure.
Oh, you
About
want to talk about
500
evidence?
at the
What
last
evidence?
count.
Show something.
You want to talk about evidence? Yeah.
Yeah, let's
sure.
let's see
Okay,
a
let's
piece of
talk
evidence.
about let's talk about how the
demonstration.
entirety of navigation is done with the globe.
I said, can you show us some
Oh.
evidence?
Yeah, of course
You're
it is.
failing
I'll show
already.
you evidence. Here. Ready?
Everything
Wanna
is
link
done
it
with
for
the fucking globe, of course.
you? Yeah, and it's accurate, right?
He's gonna show
If
you
it's
a picture
completely
of-
wrong, how is it so accurate?
Well, since we're at the rhetorical stage, let's counter with more rhetoric. It appears that they use flat maps and deform them over a globe monstrosity later in the step. But when you're starting out,
That would require a fudge factor to give an accurate distance. Where's that fudge factor applied?
the fudge factor for what, the globe?
Spherical excess when they calculate that in.
No. No.
Fudge
spherical axis is
factor.
something else.
That's a new one, bro.
Don't join in, Paige.
Let's go one at a time. Let's go. I'll take you each out like bowling pins, one at a time.
Yeah, I don't think this show is
Yeah,
going to be
don't-
about you,
go.
Big Gambino. You're kind of irritating me
I
already.
brought the evidence. You asked for evidence, so let's talk about
And
the
you haven't
evidence. Or
shown
you can
any.
just
You
run away
haven't
if you
said,
want.
okay, here's some evidence. Let me show you this. You haven't shown
Let me share
anything.
your screen, bro.
All you've done
I
is
just
He's saying
linked
that
it.
he's showing it right now.
Sounds like a
He's got a
professional.
link.
Just linked it.
That's what he
I
does.
think it's a professional bowler here.
Yeah, guess what it is. It's a handbook for training from FAA about how to navigate on planet Earth.
You're talking
So,
to
like,
a bunch of
grade
people
here.
who don't trust the government, and you're going to show us a government handbook from the United States Department of Transportation. That what does this say? Earth's a ball. You're flying over a ball. Well, how about this? If we're going to talk about flying, airplane pilots don't have to take the curvature or the rotation of the Earth into account. They fly over the planet as if it's flat and stationary, period. And the only thing that you have to come back with is, oh, they use great circle routes. That's all that you can say, period.
No, look at the entire navigation handbook that I just linked. It completely contradicts you.
What in this
Why don't you
handbook
screenshot it?
contradicts what I just said?
The U.S. Navy, Gambino,
It contradicts
the
you
U.S. Navy
entirely.
says otherwise. The
Point it
US
out.
Navy
Show
One
me
at a
what
time.
page and
One
what
at a time.
paragraph.
Oh, sure. Here, I'll just open it since you're lazy, and then I'll screenshot
I
it
have
for
it
you.
open, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, imagine being on a plane flying over a ball.
The Bible says the earth.
Yeah, you do that every time you get on a plane.
This is the way it always goes, Brandon. I'm telling you, this doesn't get any better than this.
Well,
Yeah, I know.
also
I
you have
present
a
evidence, and then
problem.
you just run away. That's how it always goes.
Oh, he's one of
Well, the
those
thing-
that claims undeserved victory. Fun. Go ahead, Lemon.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
let's hear it. Let's just hear him out. Come on.
Well, let's just hear him out. Man,
Well,
you'll be
let
doing
him
that
share.
forever,
Go ahead,
telling
share
you.
your fucking screen. Show us which paragraph where it says Earth's a ball.
Show us your stupid shit. We can debunk it again.
Yeah, go ahead, debunk that.
Debunk what? Do you not know how to screen share or what?
Where is it?
Where am I
Brandon,
posting
can you
stuff?
hear
I'm
No,
posting
never
in
mind.
general.
I'll
Where
do
you
your
want me to
work for
post
you
it?
since you're lazy.
Brandon, can you hear me?
I just posted it. Are you pretending not to see it?
Brandon, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're real low, Rob. It doesn't sound that great. What's up?
Tech general. Just read the first couple of sentences in general I posted. It's from NASA.
Okay, yeah, I'll bring that up right after. I will bring that up, Rob, but right after. So are you talking about the highlighted here or just this whole thing you point at as your evidence, Big Gambino?
Well, the whole thing is highlighted, actually. So, yeah, I mean, this is just one page of many that you could look at, and it contradicts everything you're saying.
Can you go to the abstract in the
They
beginning of
actually do
the
here.
page, Brandon? If you go to the beginning of this this PDF, there should be an abstract that will tell you.
Tell me what.
If you want to tell you exactly what their theory is. So they'll tell you
That's
in the
ladder
abstract
data?
exactly what this is. This is not literal. This is as if the theory of the Earth is being a ball. Just read the abstract in the beginning before you go on.
Okay.
It'll clearly tell you.
Okay, that might save us some time. Any idea where that is? Preface
Abstract where?
or is it actual abstract? Is it the preface
I think
data?
There should be an abstract, if I recollect from this document. It could be mistaken on. It could be a similar one, but there should
Abstracts are usually right at the beginning.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they're usually with papers or something like that. This is a handbook.
Oh no, in the PDFs they sometimes come with an abstract at the beginning.
Well, take a look
No,
at it. We'll hear
just
Big
the
Gambino
title
out
cover.
about this page that he picked out. Take a look and see if you can find it. Data, what you're looking for.
Or you can look at it yourself and stop being lazy.
What are you talking about? I am looking at it.
Laughing, Brandon.
I've been looking at it the whole time, you idiot. All right.
Yeah,
So
what are
Earth
those spherical
transport
things?
procession, horizontal plane. It's not a good start so far. Earth transport procession is a form of apparent procession that results from transporting a gyro from one point on the Earth's surface to another. All right. See some words here about procession.
Read the next sentence, though.
So what about this? This is two, I'm not going to read 4 paragraphs. So what about this?
Okay, here.
How
I'll
does
read
this
the
prove the
sentence for
globe?
you. Because it was the next sentence. The gyro spin axis appears to move because the aircraft flying over the curved surface of the Earth changes its attitude in relation to the gyro's fixed point in space.
Appears.
Uh-oh.
What about it? You think that proves the globe, that sentence right there?
It
I
proves
think
my
you need to
statement
read
that
my
all the
article.
training is done with the globe. Which is
So
the
what are
topic
they
I'd like.
assuming when they wrote that sentence?
Who wrote this?
What does appears mean?
Gumbo.
Guess kind of,
What were they
stuck
assuming when they wrote that sentence?
The pilots were
Nothing.
going to need to get people around the world safely.
here. And accurately. Without crashing into a mountain or oceans.
Without crashing into an ocean.
Yeah.
These guys caught the Coriolis virus.
Hey, Brandon.
This is what their
Hey, Brandon.
entire
Just,
is built on a
Yeah.
just
piece
real,
of paper.
Just real quick. Last week, Smurfer Girl on her show pulled up an old educational video that talked about gyroscopes in aircraft, and in that educational video, they attribute the precession of the gyroscope to electromagnetism. They do not mention anything about the curvature of the Earth. So just take that for what it's worth. Go back to Smurfer Girl Whatevs last week. She's got 2 shows that she did, and they're both on her channel still.
Got any evidence
I
of
had
this?
forgotten about. Well,
I just told you where it is. Smurfer Girl
Oh,
Whatevs.
but wait a minute. You didn't post anything like you demanded.
Okay,
everybody
I'm
else.
driving.
that's
I'm
okay.
driving,
That's
Gumbo.
okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't be lazy. Look
This
for
whole
yourself.
page is predicated on the idea that this procession takes place because the Earth is spinning, right? That it's a globe and it's spinning. So
That it's a globe.
if that's
Yeah, well,
not
the
true,
spinning isn't part of it yet.
if that's not true, so what evidence do you have that that's true? That is the variable, that
Brandon,
it is actually
read my
spinning because
article.
the Earth's a globe and round.
Because
Right,
we've measured
yeah.
the Earth to be a sphere.
What, Rob?
I thought
We?
I
With
thought
what?
gimbal-based gyros weren't accurate enough to
Who's
measure
we?
the curvature.
Rob, go ahead.
Brandon, can you please read my NASA article?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
about a
Summary of
linear mathematical model.
Fine.
It has nothing to do with this topic.
Yeah, it has everything to do with it. And
Yes, it
also,
does.
Brandon, read the first paragraph and the second one. The second one's even better.
He doesn't read more than one sentence, though.
This report documents the
lecture.
derivation and definition of a linear aircraft model for a rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. The derivation makes no assumptions of reference trajectory or vehicle symmetry. The linear system equations are derived and evaluated along a general trajectory and include both aircraft dynamics and observation variables. The need for linear models of aircraft for the analysis of vehicle dynamics and control law design is well known. The models are widely used not only for computer applications, but also for quick approximations and desk calculations. What do they mean by computer applications? That's interesting. Whereas the use of these models is well understood and well documented, their derivation is not. The lack of documentation and occasionally understanding of the derivation of linear models is a hindrance to communication, training, and application. Well, I don't know what they mean by that. I guess we'd have to read more. So how did you, why did you want me to read that? What is it about those 2 paragraphs that, what do they mean to you?
Well, you missed the first one, I think. Go up to the abstract.
Oh, is there another paragraph up there?
Yep.
No,
Right up top.
that's it.
Just above. We can read.
That's it. I read the summary. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I understand that the model is that they're basing whatever this analysis is on a flat, non-rotating Earth. But all this in here about the derivation is unknown, and whereas the use of these models is well understood and well documented. I don't know what that means. I don't know what they mean by that. Does anybody?
Yes.
Okay. What do they mean to you?
So if you want to design a control system, you have to understand the dynamics of it. You have to understand the stiffnesses, the moment of inertia, the actuators you have. You have to get what's called a mathematical model of your plant. If you want to do a PID controller and you have to tune the PID values properly, you have to know what the object is that you're trying to control. And aircraft is very complicated.
What's a PID? Sorry.
Proportional integral derivative controller.
Brandon, did you read the summary? Or
Let him wrap up what his explanation is, but don't make this a fucking all day thing. Go ahead.
This report understand the mechanics that's going on.
That's what that means to you. That's what these paragraphs. Hold on, Aaron. That's what these paragraphs mean to you. That you have to understand the dynamics of the aircraft.
In short terms, yes.
So why does it mention that they use this derivation of a flat, non-rotating Earth, and that they use it for computer applications and quick approximations? But then they says whereas. So why do they say this? And then they say whereas the use of these models. What are they getting at here?
Exactly what it says. It's an approximation to be able to use an older computer.
What do they mean by this? Whereas the use of these models is well understood and well documented, their derivation is not.
Imagine you had a machine that you didn't know how it was built, but you knew exactly what it does.
Okay, so they're saying literally that the models that they're using, they understand and they're documented, but they don't know where they got them?
That's what that author is saying, but I'm sure.
How can they not know where they got them, and why do they use these flat, non-rotating Earth models to do this work?
Because the effect of the curvature is not doesn't affect the dynamics.
Oh, thank you very much. That was my original point that you pushed back on. My original point was that pilots don't have to worry about the curvature of the Earth or the rotation. Thank you.
No, you do. The pilot, but the
then
dynamics,
why are they using this flat, non-rotating model when you just told me that they have to understand the dynamics of the plane, the pitch, blah, all that shit you said, but then they're going to use these models and this model in applications and for quick approximations, and they don't know where the fuck they got them. You don't know what this means. You just contradicted yourself. And you just confirmed my original argument to you.
Because you're talking about something different than I did. I brought up navigation, and this is talking about dynamics of the aircraft itself.
And then I said, okay, give me the evidence for that supports your thing. And what did you give me? You gave me something on gyroscopes.
No, I linked you the entire handbook for FAA navigation.
And then I said, point to what is your proof, and you gave me this page on the gyroscopic precession, right?
Yeah, that's just one example.
Dude,
from the
you know what? I think that you're like full of shit at this point because.
You want more examples?
Wow.
No, I mean, is anybody impressed by what he's saying here? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Do you not know Crookston flirts the nerfer?
No, I
do
do
not
know
know
I don't know this guy. No.
Wow. Yeah.
Hey,
You've
Gambino's a good
sussed
dude, man.
him out pretty quickly.
Gambino's a good dude. And just to remind you guys, he was asked, or everyone in the room was asked if anybody understood what that meant, and he volunteered, but he didn't present that as evidence. For
Well, he didn't do a very good job explaining what it meant. Maybe you can, Kosho. Why are they using this model, and why are they saying they don't know where they got the model from?
To the latter question, I don't know why they said that, but I know why they use this model and other simple models in both planes and with rockets and all other, documents.
So, Kosho, I got a question.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Because they're simply talking about. She's saying they're talking about modeling it.
Yeah,
And
what are
it's,
the
for
odds?
simplicity? Most
Yeah, what are the
papers. That's why I
odds?
asked to see the full document that this comes from, because if you look at the very last paragraph, it tells you that if you look in the appendix, it will give you the equations for like the more complicated modeling. But obviously, if you were to put in a lot of the things that would make it complicated, it would make this like a super long document. So it's just for simplicity. So there's not extra math that's needed.
What are the odds, Kosho, that in practical reality, as observed, you don't calculate anything for drop, dip, or curvature or rotation when you're operating an aircraft? You don't think of it. And in this paperwork, they're using the simplification, the same we observe our reality. What would be the odds of that?
Well, you're talking about two different things. Once again, this was Gambino was saying that he was presenting
I'm not talking
a
about
document regarding
things.
the actual
I'm
use
talking
of these planes.
Yeah, I'm
and,
talking about the actual
navigation.
operation of an aircraft.
Right.
Don't
This is not talking about the navigate. This is not talking about the use of.
Hold on, yeah, but they're implementing a model here, and the model they're implementing matches the observed reality for ease and for simple calculations. Just as
yeah, right. FED, and let's get back down. Let's get back down to the surface too. So shout out Isa Mahalski, right? All navigational models are considered as 600 square miles as flat, right?
That's an approximation. Yeah, it's not accurate.
Isn't that weird that they use an approximation for this training, and it's just as good as one that's
so what is it,
on
like
the rotation?
500 miles?
It's not just as good for orbital mechanics.
Is it 525 miles? How much is the approximation?
Well, the Earth is 190 million square miles.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Don't obfuscate.
If they only do it 600 square miles, then why not do it for the whole Earth? It's because that approximation is useful. It makes it simple to make those navigation.
Okay, listen very carefully. One 600 square miles is just as flat as the adjacent 600 square miles. Is just as flat as the next 600 square. Is just as flat.
No,
and you
that's a
keep
simplification.
Hey, right, Travis?
No.
Right, Travis?
No,
every single
that's a
square mile
simplification.
should be dropping off 8 inches, right? Every single square mile should have a drop of 8 inches. So add 600 to that, and then try to treat that as flat, right, in your model.
You can do that. It depends on the application. Like a surveyor would not do that. The Minos experiment, the neutrino beams wouldn't do that.
Depends on
particle accelerators
application.
wouldn't
Please
do that.
provide an application.
Navigators.
Is it a
do
mathematical application or is it a practical application?
Civil engineering, certain applications you can do that.
Oh,
and
certain engineering,
places you can't.
so engineering what?
I'm going to wait for you to get done talking, and then I'm going to talk. And how about you let me finish?
I just asked you a question. Engineering what?
You interrupted my answer with a question.
You gave an answer.
Are you going to keep doing that?
You gave an answer, and I'm curious.
I'm not gonna
you just
speak to you
said
if you're going to behave this way.
Yeah,
okay,
stall
buddy.
time now, right?
It sounds like you're triggered yourself. So
Yeah,
you're going
sure.
to explain
Definitely.
what ways do they do this? You just said, right? So go ahead, please tell me. What ways? Engineering?
Yeah, sure. So like if you're building a deck, you can assume that a water level makes like a perfectly horizontal plane. But if you're going to build like a particle accelerator, then that's not true. So, it depends on the application.
That's your answer.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, buddy. You've got no answer then.
So flying a plane
Good
is
rebuttal.
so
Pretend I didn't
close
answer.
between a flat plane and a giant spinning ball that it doesn't matter. It's
No, the dynamics aren't affected by the sphere.
Sure,
the immediate, like transient dynamic. I'm answering your question. The immediate transient dynamics for like a control loop tuning.
Dude,
is
do you
not
know how many
affected by
pilots
its
have come in
path
here
right
and
now.
told us that there's
But
no
the
difference,
navigation
that they
is
treat the
affected by
Earth
the
as if
spherical
it's
Earth.
flat and stationary? Do you know how many pilots have told us that right out of their mouth?
No one has said that.
Yes, they have.
No.
Not to mention,
Many times.
Not to mention Brandon.
I have personally documented 3 pilots myself on my channel. They operate over a stationary flat plane. I've got them to admit it on camera.
No,
One
you don't.
pilot, I got him to admit that we never calculate for curvature, Coriolis, none of it. We don't think about it. We don't even apply it to our application at all. There's no dynamics involved in it. The dynamics involved in flying an aircraft is over a stationary level plane. I've documented it over 20 times. It's on my channel with 3 pilots right now. You're full
That's
of
why
shit.
the entire
Or how about Blue Marble Science? Or how about Whoopi? Or how about Bob the Science Guy? All 3 of them have said it.
Gambino's bringing his own idea, right? He's bringing his own idea. We're bringing like 3 or 4 documents. We got FED saying, I have documents. I can show you if you want. And he's just saying, well, nope, that's not how it works. Just one word versus written testimony of how it works.
Written?
Right?
Like the entire navigation manual?
That's all right. We're giving him too
Written
much
like that?
airtime. Hey, listen up, guys. We can continue this in the after show. It's 8 o'clock. We've got a whole shitload of people in here. So anybody with a burning desire to do final thoughts?
Oh, man. This was on a show?
Yeah, you're on YouTube, man. This is a show.
Oh, great. I get to play this back?
You can play it back. Yep. That's how it
And
works.
listen to your fucking nonsense.
So we'll give the ballers a chance, and then anybody who wants to can respond to them since they are severely outnumbered. We'll start off with Kosho. Final thoughts?
Sure, man. I just want to vouch for Gambino. I've known him for a long time. He's a pretty cool dude. So don't get any bad, flack from the flat earthers. You know him. He's a pretty cool dude, and he knows what he's talking about too. He's taught me a lot. So the claim that was just made though by the drunken guy was that you guys brought all these documents and stuff, and he actually brought a 282-page flight navigation handbook. And I think that's inappropriate to say he didn't bring anything. So yeah, I don't know. I would check it out because it does say in there several places that indeed pilots do have to at least know that it's a globe in order to at least use the devices on their plane.
You don't
think
of any of it at all. None of
Data.
it.
The gyroscope's
data.
a good
It's final
example of
thoughts.
something that they have to make sure is.
Oh, dude, the
is,
gyroscope
corrected for.
processes due to electromagnetic interference.
All right, go ahead, Kosho. Are you done?
Well, the last thing I'll say is that 600 square miles that you guys brought up as navigators have to or get to represent as flat. That represents about the amount of land that has a difference of about one degree amongst that entire amount of land. So
600 miles? You are bloody joking.
Hold on, Brian. It's final
69
thoughts.
miles is 1 degree.
Final
Don't
thoughts.
tell him his model, Bri.
Are you done,
He's a
Kosho?
fucking idiot. That is his model.
Hold on, guys.
69.70
it's final.
miles
It's
is
final
1
thoughts.
degree
Brian,
of your
please.
ludicrous fucking ball.
It's final thoughts. Go ahead, Kosho. Are you done?
sure, I'm done. I'll explain the math to the people who don't understand afterward.
Cool. Naps.
You're full of shit.
No naps. Hopefully I'm not skipping any ballers. Big Gambino.
Yeah, I got like 8 points that are like really convincing.
Can you just
But,
give us a couple of
my
them?
favorite
But
one-
you can definitely give them all to us afterwards. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the entirety of astronomy uses devices that are based on the globe, and they work perfectly. And the heliocentric model perfectly predicts all the eclipse using the globe. So that's convincing enough.
Okay, thanks. Tony B. No, Tony's gone. Anybody else? Flat Earthers want final thoughts.
Naps was going to say something. She unmuted herself.
Anybody else? Final thoughts? No?
Yeah, can I have a go?
Go for it.
Babs came on, gave a bit of, I don't know, shit talk or what, talked about something about the debate that he was butthurt about. I don't know what that was about. Like, I don't know what he tried to say. He just confused the issue even more. I haven't got a clue what that was about. And he seemed to mention my name a lot. And then everybody seemed to be mentioning my name quite a lot about things. And I don't know. I think there's a lot of weird things going on at the minute. And what Ruhif and Rumpus said tonight, they've both contradicted each other. One says level is horizontal and the other one says horizontal lines are all parallel. I don't know.
All right. Thanks, Bev. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want a big shout out to Ranty. He's gone through hard times with his mother and that. Big shout out.
Yeah, I second that. Anybody else?
Yeah, shout out to Ranty. Thanks, Brandon.
Okay, guys, appreciate it. I'll be back. We'll record the after show. Okay. Woo. We had a lot of people in the Discord. There was like 30 freaking people in there. Actually stayed together pretty good after Rumpus was kicked out of there. All right, guys. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. I think I've got a date with Mr. Sensible. So I'm going to be simulcasting, I think, on this channel. I don't know what the plans are, but I'll put something out tomorrow so you guys will know. I'll be here either way, 5:05 Eastern Standard Time, 10:05 GMT. And thanks for supporting the show. and have a good night.